All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Say we're back on Thursday, but we've got some different vehicles on track here. Saying that is because we've now got the Area 51 TWM Superspeedway Truck Series here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. Say for those that are familiar with our Sunday Night Superspeedway series, very similar stuff to this one. Say basically replace the Xfinity cars, put in these trucks, and say it's pretty much a recipe for some exciting racing. So. Similar stuff as usual. 75 laps will be the race distance. Of course, green-white checkers, always able to throw a wrench into those. So we'll have to see. This will be the first race of the 11 race season, shortened just a little bit for to try to finish it up before the Christmas break. That way drivers can enjoy the holidays with their family. Of course, also a break over Thanksgiving as well. So say don't be expecting to see anything going on there. You're stuck with your family. Sorry, everybody. But luckily, in the booth with me, I've got my partner in crime, Maxwell Caldwell. Say Maxwell, done plenty of broadcasting with you, plenty of racing with you. Never with the trucks though, so it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve to see how. I know it's super speedway, but these things might drive a little differently than what we're used to.
Absolutely. So, Guile, first thing, good to be back in the booth. Kind of ditched you the last 3 races last season. I wanted to run those Xfinity cars before they disappeared because I knew we were kind of coming to this. So, super speedway racing on now Thursdays and Sundays. Some drivers will probably do some double duty throughout the weeks. And yeah, these trucks, man, they're a whole lot different, but a lot of the same too. I would honestly say, in my personal experience, I think the trucks may honestly have the best draft package on here right now. A lot of times they just suck up really well compared to the Xfinity and Cup cars. So, truck's a fun thing to drive around here. Talladega super big, super wide. But we're hearing from a lot of drivers through practice that this setup a little bit edgy tonight. So drivers are really going to have to watch how they push, where they push. And I know we're in trucks, but those bumpers still don't quite line up, just like the other two cars. So it'll be very easy to hook somebody. And Gael, with as big of a field as we have tonight, there's sure to be a big one at some point here at the big Talladega Superspeedway.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the racing is going to maybe differ from what we're used to seeing. Like I said, sounds like fuel in the low 20s most likely, so likely we'll see the 3-stop strategy tonight. Of course, pending yellows, but I think 3 stops is most likely what we're going to see here tonight. But you're right, though. I mean, I say it's definitely a big field. I think almost about 30 trucks, if I'm not mistaken. And we've got some of the regulars that we've seen week in, week out in our various series, in the Sunday Super Speedways, the Thursday Premier Series with the Xfinity cars, also some of the Indy drivers on Tuesdays as well. But then I see some new names, some new faces that I haven't really seen before. So probably going to be a little bit of some growing, hopefully not growing pains, but probably a little bit of getting some familiarity with some of the drivers around them, though. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of things to keep an eye on to see what kind of try to start learning who's working with who on the teammate side of things. Because as we know, you can't really get too far in some of these races without any help. So I think that's going to also be a big part of this one tonight, is to work with those guys that you have available to you.
Absolutely. And, as you stated earlier in the broadcast, it's not just Area 51 here anymore. They've partnered. I cannot talk. They have partnered with TWM here to bring in a whole new slate of drivers that are used to running together, that are used to running their own open races and stuff like that out in the hosted rooms. Now they're deciding to partner up with Area 51 in this league, which is making sure to give us a lot of different drivers. So we're going to see a lot of different strategies. We'll probably see some new pitch strategies we haven't seen quite yet. Maybe some of these guys are used to the trucks, where Area 51 is just now venturing out in these trucks at super speedways. So having to learn the fuel loads, having to learn when the best time to pit is. Is left side tire still going to be the trick, or are we going to have to take all 4 in these? So many things to figure out with these trucks, and these Area 51 guys are probably going to be shook up a little bit these first couple races. And then the last thing we're really going to have to notice here tonight, Gael, is race 1 could be the most important race of the season. You get a bad race here to kick it off, and you are digging out of a hole constantly, and you're trying to dig out of a hole that you can't guarantee that you can. So to run top 5 tonight and get started with that point season so early, going to be super crucial for these truckers tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. We're going to pull up our qualifying because it looks like it's just completed. And we talked about teammates, and I think you see it right here. To start it off with, you got Sebastian Marin on the pole position, 4 thousandths quicker than Steve Krosek there in the 49. Then you got Zachary Lima. Say those three teammates in those three trucks, I think all part of the Dale Cup group. And then you got John Gabbard in 4th, Jason Middleton, Jackson Carr, Everett Lane, Gary Slipinski, Joe Delavecchia, and Bud Steele going around our top 10. And 11th on back, you've got Jack Walls, Robert DuPont. And we'll keep running through the order. Brian Grimm, Noel Cowers, Mark Brown, Bob Fitzgerald, Paul Sheldon, Josh Stichterman. You got Michael Spell, Dale Willoughby, Gabe Butler, Frank Gramuglia. I'll say you're going to have to learn some names here tonight. Then you got Rob Malone and Donald Stewart there in 24th. But we are not done. We still got more to talk about. We've got Rob Malone, Donald Stewart, we just talked about them. Then you got Alberto Lopez, Eric Laurie, Larry Boyle, Jay Hilliard, James Hickson, Todd Siebels, Dean Wilkinson, Dave Thatcher, and Michael Taylor. So 33 trucks here. We'll see if all take the grid, but if we do, definitely a very stacked field here tonight at Talladega.
You know what that tells me, Gael? One wrong move in these trucks, and you will be behind people 32 positions in the points. We're not used to that. We're used to 20, 25 car fields. This is going to be crazy to watch how these points play out. And you know me, everybody else likes to watch the single races. I like to see the season unfold. I'm kind of a points guy. I love to race for points. So seeing these guys, so we're not going to see what we saw last season on the Thursday night series, where you got 4 or 5 guys that are really, really strong that kind of take off quick and kind of pull away from the field. The Daytona and Talladega here, I believe, are the only 2 tracks they're going to. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope,
but I believe this is going to be just a great equalizer for all these drivers all season long. So many of these guys have run official races in Talladega and Daytona. They've run hosted races. They've run full-length Daytona 500s. They've run full-length Aaron's 499s. They have done it all. They have run in league after league. They've run in hosted room after hosted room. Most of these drivers are going to have experience. They just don't have experience with each other. Who's going to show us their aggressive side? Who's going to stay reserved and hang out at the back for a while? Is caution going to play into the pit strategy tonight? Gael, normally these plate races, sometimes they string out, but I think tonight, me and you will have nothing short of to talk about. I think there's going to be all kinds of things we're watching tonight.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a busy one. You're exactly right. And the fun part also about having some new names, new faces, you get to see some fun paint schemes as well. The first one that's caught my eye, I believe, is the 74 of Jackson Carr. I'll try to see if we can take a look at the back of it. Yeah, there you go. You look at the back of the 74 car, and it's literally got a place showing at this point right now, Gary Slipinski behind him, telling me, hey, push here. So you've got your windows, like, don't push me too far to the left, to the right, because like you talked about potential big ones, that is going to be one of those opportunities, because you do not want to push them off to the quarter panels. You want to keep as square as you can. So yeah, Jackson Carr, he's got the right idea. He knows what he's going to be looking for out of that number 74 truck.
Absolutely. And hey, Gael, one more thing before we take the green. We have a high probability of seeing a brand new winner here in Area 51, as we've brought so many new drivers over. And some of these guys I've raced with for years in Daytona rooms. And some guys, come from the Sunday Superspeedway stuff. But you know who I don't see a lot of? Chad Wilkes, Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling. Those guys are your oval racers. They don't really do a lot of plate racing. So Thursday nights are really getting shook up. Will we see a new winner tonight? We're about to find out as the pace car comes down pit road to bring these guys to the green.
Yeah, but remember, the initial start always on the green flag, not on the leaders. So they're going to wait till all the way through the trial, and then they'll get that green flag. Like I said, you got the front row of those Dale Cup guys, and then you got the Red Bull trucks on the inside line as well, as we do get the green flag, and we are underway here. 75 laps. Absolutely. We see all these guys starting to barrel off into turn 1, still 2 by 2. Some guys not leaving them. We see a small opening on the bottom. Is that 49? I'm having to get used to all these numbers, guys. That 49 going to take it? No, he's going to run that outside momentum in that second lane with the 30 pushing him. Going to try to get up here and possibly take the lead early. Yeah, I see early decision there from the 24 car, Everett Lane, or truck, I should say. Everett wanting none of this early action up front. He's going to roll straight to the back of this lead pack here. You always got to be careful about that. Don't want to drop too far back, because you might lose momentum, might lose the lead draft. So that's always a concern that you have to kind of keep in mind. But you see Everett Lane, he's dropping on back, but was able to safely rejoin. But you're right, though, up front, things still holding pretty steady. And yeah, it looks like the 49 of Steve Krosek holding that top line is going to pay off because he's got some good help from that 30 of John Gabbard. And you see one truck at the top, I think, just kind of in cruise control right now. I think just kind of keeping himself in some clean air there. But right now, pretty calm start of this race here. Like I said, everybody running 2x2. But you know at some point we're going to see that third line start to form.
Absolutely. So right now, these guys being cordial. And as you say that, the 30's kind of trying to take that third lane to get started. But we see one of the other drivers having none of it. He's taking that third lane to drop onto the back. And with the 30 having no help, look for him to start falling like a rock through this pack as we see a battle for the lead up front in that second lane.
Yeah, so Zachary Lima in that 95 truck trying to work the top. Looked like a little bit of a push, got a little squirrely there. You saw both of them have to chase it up just that little bit, cost them a bit of momentum, but able to gather it back. And like you said, though, really good drafting right now between, it looks like Zachary Lima, Steve Krosek up front here. And that's the thing, it's going to be that risk versus reward, of course, Maxwell. You can push, you can make a lot of time, but you push them just in the wrong spot or at the wrong time. That's going to make a very big incident. Right now I'm watching that 31 of Gary Slavinsky right on that rear spoiler of that number 49 of Steve Krosek.
Absolutely. We see these guys just running simple lines, giving each other plenty of room, but they're doing nothing short of running hard here at the start. You see these guys aren't trying to give up the lead. It looks like the front pack's really not trying to save any fuel, as if they know that no matter what, they have a certain amount of pit stops to make, maybe no crazy strategies as of yet. So we see the 95 and the 23 just running side by side. But possibly, Gael, correct me if I'm wrong, we're learning these new names. These guys, teammates here from that Dale Cup series, right? So these guys maybe wanting to all run up front here and want to kind of control both lanes. Maybe they want to be side by side, as you see three of them right there in the top three.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a strategy that you can do to try to, like I said, kind of keep it between the drivers you know and that you're familiar with. So I'm not sure for the 29 of Jason Milton, that Mountain Dew truck on the inside. Actually, yeah, now that I'm looking at it, yeah, he's also part of that Dale Cup team. So, yeah, so I think, like we just said, those top four trucks are part of that same team. So kind of all going to plan for them here early on. But you know there's going to be some challenges as the run goes on. You're going to see some drivers start making moves. I mean, I'm going to roll a fair bit to the back. So when you talk about super speedway racing, I said we're going to be talking about Gabe Butler. You know that. Saying so he's got a couple of friends here tonight. He's got Dale Willoughby in front of him. He's got Eric Laurie behind him. Obviously not the full group that we're used to seeing here tonight, but do notice, let's say, with Eric Laurie switching over to that truck, though, slightly different paint scheme color there, kind of more of a black and yellow versus the green and black colors that he's been running. But definitely would expect to see these guys make their voices heard and make their names known as the race progresses a little further on. But like I said, I think A, playing it safe here early on, and B, wait for pit stops to really start to make that big move.
Absolutely. Look who's in line right now with each other. Dale Willoughby, Gabe Butler, Eric Laurie, Dean Wilkinson. These guys run with each other all the time here. They know exactly what they're doing. I don't know about you, I heard a snippet of their strategy. They're wanting to hang out here at the start, wanting to get a feel for how these other truckers are, see how aggressive they can be. And how many times have we seen them hang out for a while and they pull that incredible pit strategy that they always do toward the end of this thing. You can't tell me for a minute that 7-1 and 0-7-1 are not going to be up front contending for this win.
Yeah, spot on, Isaiah, and I definitely am in complete agreement with you there. And yeah, saying, like I said, a few, I know I've recognized Rob Malone. I know he's done some races with us. He's kind of cruising with these guys as well. I think, like you said, just kind of playing it safe. And then you got James Hickson in a 12 right there in that 12 truck. He's kind of the last truck, I should say, in that lead draft. And the one driver that didn't make the grid was Alberto Lopez. Joined in late, unfortunately wasn't able to grid in time. He is off on his own, about 30 seconds off the back, just about a little over half a lap down right now. So I'll say he's going to be kind of swallowed up by this pack pretty quickly. But so we're going to jump back up front right now. Right now, the highest climber, though, will jump to about the top 10. That's going to be the 199 here of Josh Stichterman. You see him in that second line. As I said, a lot of movement going on as we are three wide, a few rows back in the group here. But you see now Josh making a big move, trying to get to the top of that truck. Got really squirrely, Maxwell. So I think that shows, like you said, I think that setup might be a little squirrely for some of these guys. It's going to be, you have to be very careful making these big moves.
Call it unpopular. I'm super excited to see these trucks not handling 100%. I think that's really going to make this racing great. A lot of guys just love to get onto somebody and lock and try to do that tandem drafting. But I love when this racing is like a chess match where you have to keep the handle on the car. You got to be careful how you drive the thing off in the corners. When you actually have to drive the vehicle at a super speedway, it's created some of the best racing I think I've ever seen before. So I know these truckers may not be happy with their handle of their trucks right now, but I'm telling you, this is going to promote great racing as we see them 3 by 3 by 3 for the lead.
Yeah, but you can see a lot of movement from those trucks, like you said. So they're definitely, I'll say, they're going to have their work cut out for them, try to keep the trucks in line. And then, like you said, and once you start having to get more aggressive, get the push and get the tandem possibly going, that's where it's going to really get aggressive. Right now, Gary Simpkins, he's worked his way to the top. He wants to lead this top group. And said he's got Josh Stichterman right behind him. And then a third truck in line is the 24 Everett Lane. So yeah, right now it's definitely busy up front. Like you said, right now you got pretty much 3 by 3 for about 4 or 5 rows deep right here.
If these guys are smart, they're going to try to keep Everett Lane as far back as they can in that 84. Because I'm telling you right now, he gets up to the front, he is going to be incredibly hard to pass tonight.
Yeah, so Everett's one we've seen before here with Area 51, and like you said, yeah, very talented racer as well. So right now, everybody's holding pretty steady. I say you can still see a little bit of motion back and forth. I say again, I think drivers getting familiar with the truck. I know they had some practice, but I don't think it was ever like it is right now. So it's definitely a big learning curve and kind of a trial by fire for a lot of these guys in these opening laps here as we're on lap number 9.
But do you not love what you're seeing right here, Gael? I mean, look at the difference in the racing these trucks produce compared to the Cup and Xfinity cars. They are 3 by 3 by 3, literally side by side for this race lead, and nobody's letting up. They are just letting these trucks hang out in the wind here and just truly start getting massive runs. Watch this top side as they run that top. They lost a little ground in the corner, but watch them make it all back up. And they'll be right there nose to nose, possibly with the 95, unless they just lost a little bit of their draft partners there. But I'm telling you, this is some incredible racing, and just watch these trucks shake and move and shimmy around in this draft. I can only imagine what these trucks feel like in that middle lane, but I'll tell you what, all these drivers are having a load of fun right now, but they've got to watch these pushes. This 199 pushing the 31. I saw him a little bit squirrely as he tried to get up to the bumper in the corner. These guys push in the corner, and they may cause the big one tonight. They're going to have to really time these pushes well.
Yeah, so you're talking about being in the middle group. We're going to hop on board with Robert Duponti right in the thick of things here. As you see, actually just saw there, Gary Simpkins able to sneak down into that middle group. They got to be careful because if you look just ahead with the big head of steam, they're closing on Alberto Lopez, we just talked about. As they're coming up on that 20 truck now, I think they're going to catch him at just the best opportunity here as they go through the trial. You see, actually, I think that is Robert Duponti is actually going to try to pick up that number 20 truck, make sure he doesn't lose the draft while he builds back up to speed. So you see a little bit of teamwork there, I think, between that 07 and the 18 or the 20 truck, I should say. It looks like 18 on the paint scheme. But yeah, so say a nice gesture there by Robert to help out that 20 of Alberto Lopez. So that little bit, though, I mean, that made a big difference. Yeah, now we're back to 2x2 just because of that one lap truck. But what that has changed, a look up front here. Now you got Gary now working on Zachary Lima on the outside. He made that third line work, though. They clear that second line, now battling for the front.
Yep, sometimes if you just got to stay in that top line long enough, and it may take a while, but eventually you can find your way as these bottom two lines fight each other. Sometimes they forget about you on that top lane, and you can get just enough of a run to get clear. And that's exactly what that 31 did, and that's got his nose out in clean air right now, sniffing that lead, but the 95 is not willing to let it up. Some strong trucks so far with these tail cut guys. It's going to be interesting to see how some of our Area 51 regulars can respond. And ooh, you see a bad push by the 49. Oh, and contact in the back, we got a spinner.
Yeah, Joe Delavecchia, big hit to the inside. He's on the apron, so we'll see. So far, it looks like he's the only truck involved. And unfortunately for Joe, that's going to keep it green, so he's going to have to take a quick break. That's going to cost him a lot of time. So say we stay green and say we'll try to see if we can get back and take a look at it here in a little bit. But one truck I want to mention to say while this was all going on is that 16 of Michael Taylor. We talked about him at the beginning, kind of out in the back with Gabe and Dale and Eric early on in this race. Now that in that top group, trying to work his way towards the front here. As you can see, he was able to push that truck to the middle end. He's going to get hung out. But Michael Taylor's been making some really big moves in that 16. Right in the top 10, unfortunately, I said that push didn't go to plan for him. kind of gets hung out, but looks like he's going to definitely be one that we'll have to watch as well, able to make his way from the back to the front there.
Absolutely, and Gael, since that multi-car wreck, but both single-car wrecks happened on the backstretch, which we'll have to take a look at here in a moment. Look what that's caused. These drivers that were racing 3x3x3, they said, I'm done. We're getting close to pit stops. I just want to survive. Look at them all trying to funnel down to that bottom lane so they can start preparing and getting with their teammates so they can get ready to pit and start pulling off some of that pit road magic.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, we'll jump back here. Let's try to see if we can get a better look to see what exactly happened to Joe here. And you see, there's the bump you just talked about. You see that truck get very wiggly of Gary Slipinski. Then we're trying to find. Oh yeah, you see just in the left rear quarter. I think it was a 24 getting together. I'm trying to check which truck that was that got in. It was basically kind of an accordion effect, and unfortunately, Joe Delavecchio was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and took the brunt of it. There is going to be another truck with some damage with that contact. We'll jump back live here again. But yeah, unfortunately, I think it was Everett Lane just got a little bit of an off-center push that we talked about, and that kind of pushed that truck straight into Joe, and unfortunately for Joe, straight into that inside wall with a pretty big head of steam.
Yeah, but as I look at that 24, or I'm sorry, 84, these guys with custom numbers starting to mess with me a little bit. As we look at Everett Lane's truck here, though, I don't really, from my perspective, see any damage on that truck. I'm trying to look real fine at it and see, but it looks clean as a whistle, so we know that's still a rocket ship that they're going to have to worry about. And we see them really making moves with that 31 right now in the 52. They are slowly trying to get their way toward the lead and could possibly clear, but I think the 95 is going to have the advantage going into 3.
Yeah, exactly right. And so that's what you're going to see with these trucks. In the turns, the low line's always going to have the advantage, but it's the exit was where that middle to outer line is going to start to get that momentum back off. So, but like you said, though, Maxwell, we're getting into the pit stop strategy window. And again, that's going to be, I think, going to be the telltale to see when is that window going to be. So they said sounds like low 20s on fuel. So do we see them run that full number out, or do we see maybe drivers maybe try to take a little bit of a different strategy, pit a little sooner? Again, you can clean their Talladega and not lose a lap. So I'll say that's where I'd be watching some of those guys like the Dale Willoughbys, Gabe Butler, Eric Lowry to try to go a little off strategy, maybe try to do a little bit of a shorter pit stop to kind of jump them track position. But right now they're holding still pretty steady, just cruising here in that second half of the group.
I would think as long as you have help, you might want to stay out a little bit longer. But hey, what do I know? I'm up here in the booth, and you got some of the best out here on the track right now. I don't know that no matter what they do without a caution, I believe everybody's in the same boat as far as the number of pit stops, correct? There's no way they can stretch or save or do anything of that manner. So wouldn't shock me within 2 laps that most everybody pits and gets it done. 3 laps for sure, everybody should have it completed, but I don't really see the benefit. I almost think if you've got a good group, come down early, and I think that might be your best bet to get up front, but I'm trying to think of the end game here. If you keep doing that, you may short yourself fuel there to the end. That'd be the last thing you want to do, unless they're going to have plenty in that last run. Then by all means, I'd probably come in a lap or 2 earlier than the rest of the field. I'd want to be the first ones as far as track position, but as far as making sure I got fuel to the end, not knowing these fuel numbers yet, I might play it safe this first one and go ahead and run it out.
Yeah, exactly right. So it'll be interesting to see. Say right now, looking over at Todd Siebel's in the 45 truck, up 15 spots into 15th. You saw right there, I think we're seeing everybody, like I said, kind of starting to drop into their position. We saw the 31 there. Gary Slipinski just was able to slot into the inside in front of Everett Lane here. I think, again, that's going to be the telltale that we know pit stops are going to be looming very soon. That's where drivers are going to have to make sure they start communicating with one another as well. That, hey, I got to get in here, either this lap, next lap, whatever it is, because some of these drivers that have been leading this whole race, they're probably going to be burning a little more fuel. And that's the question I have, Maxwell. We heard the low 20 numbers. That's probably with these drivers being on the aggressive side, kind of leading the track, leading the groups pushing. But then you think about, like, I'm looking at Jack Walls. I say Jack's always one that's kind of off strategy, loves to try to gamble a little bit. Has that 83 truck, has he been able to save enough fuel maybe to go an extra lap or 2? Maybe that's going to come into play as well for him in that number 83 truck. Because right now he's just kind of been cruising on this inside line while they've been dicing it up for 3 wide early on.
Yeah, he might have been saving a little bit of fuel in these trucks, but I don't know that you can save maybe much more than a lap here. These guys are all running an extremely fast pace right now. This has been a very fast pack. We've seen that with all the racing they've been doing. So he could be lifting off the throttle some here, but like right now you see a huge gap to the 84 there of Everett. That's causing him to not be able to save near as much fuel. I've always been told that you want to be tucked right up on somebody and then start lifting, but control that gap where you're always close to get the best pull. So probably burning up a little bit more fuel than he wants. Probably got a little bit more than everybody else. It's been racing up front like the 31 and the 95 and 23, some of those guys, but we'll see. I think most guys are going to come together, just like you said there.
Aggressive pit entry there by those Dale Cup guys, but looks like they've all gotten clean. But we have a big group of pitting. Looks like from about now 18th, of course, to 31. So about, I'd say, 12, 13 trucks here hitting pit road. So that's going to now cycle Gary Slapinski to the point. We'll watch these guys hit their pit stalls. So that's the next crucial point. Always see just a small overshoot for 2 of those trucks. So that's going to slow down their pit stops. And it looks like from what I'm seeing here, Maxwell, fuel only for these 3 trucks. So that's going to be the strategy of the Dale Cup guys, opting not to take tires here, and they're going to come out right together as well. So, so far so good for them. But you see now on the outside, you've got the 30 of John Gabbard, I believe with Jason Middleton trying to work the outside group. And I was going to say, I think we're going to see some more pit stops. Yeah, here they come. As also is going to bring Jack Walls as well. So you got another group of about probably 10 plus trucks hitting pit road. And so far so good. Looks like everybody's done a good job of getting on. This is coming to lap number 21 here, as everybody's trying to get us. You can see almost a close call from a couple trucks trying to hit pit road, but now that's going to bring just a few trucks left staying out, including John Gabbard, Jason Middleton, Jackson Carr, and then the 3 we mentioned earlier: Dale Willoughby, Gabe Butler, and Eric Laurie. And it's not oddly enough, but them knowing that it's about time to make some big moves, Eric Laurie, quickest truck, was fastest lap of the whole race that last time by, and that was 7.
Absolutely, just trying to prepare for that pit in, where he can get a good run in, get a good pit stop, and he's going to try to make that out lap pretty good. That's their strategy here. Now we see close to the rest of the field, a couple guys still staying out, but from these guys that are waiting for this point on to start pitting, this is kind of where it's going to be a little bit interesting. Though we do see, some of these guys coming down just now pitting, so it's kind of interesting strategies here to see if this is going to work. I don't know how that's going to work for some of these guys, but we'll see. They stayed out later than everybody else. Will they lose time not being in a bigger draft? We'll have to find out.
Yeah, and see, you see a couple of trucks overshooting their pit stall. That's going to really slow them up as well. But yeah, right now, looking at the pit road time, it looks like about 12 seconds is kind of the average, it looks like, for pit lane time. As you can see, here comes a big group of these trucks just now leaving the pits. But like I said, I think it's going to be Sebastian Marin and company with the Dale Cup guys that are easily going to cycle back to the front here. I'll say they're working and trying to get realigned. There's, I'll say, those last trucks that just pitted just now coming back into turn number 1. So yeah, so it looks like going a little longer didn't turn out quite as well as they hoped for. But we'll have to see if they're able to pick up the tow here for some of these trucks right behind. I think it's right now Brian Grimm that's kind of the last truck that's kind of on the tail end of this group. This might be enough for Dale Willoughby and company for them to tag back on and still stay in this lead pack here. So I think that's actually overall, I think, probably a very successful pit stop for these guys.
And it's looking to me like they picked up more spots than we initially thought, because, they were tail end of that lead pack, so it's not like they were super far off, but either a lot of guys had some trouble on their pit stops or something, because these guys have moved up what looks to be almost 8 to 10 positions just by the naked eye here. Until they cross timing and scoring, we don't know for sure, but they're definitely a lot closer to this top 10 area. Yeah, 10th and 11th right now, and they were running back in the 20s earlier?
Mid-20s, so like I said, yeah, probably net gain of about 15 spots in that one pit stop, so that's a huge stop for those guys. And I say that's what I'm going to look at here. I'm looking at the pit lane time and also the pit stop time. Pretty much every driver was sitting right around 11, 12 seconds stationary in the pit, getting fueled, maybe 2 tires. One driver, unfortunately, looks like did get caught speed. That was the 1 in 99, and Josh Stichterman was stuck on pit road for 43 seconds. But then when I'm looking at the pit lane time, including the stop, it's a big range there, Maxwell. So you see drivers as high as in the 40 seconds or so, 41 seconds, and you have drivers as low as 37 seconds, like I said, for Dale Willoughby, Gabe Butler, really maximizing the getting in and out of pit lane, I think, to their advantage.
And some of that longer time could have been some guys going ahead and taking some tires now, maybe so they don't have to do it later. Could have added an extra second or so to that stop, you know, getting the fuel tank filled, but then having to finish up, you know, left side tires or something like that. So could have been some guys taking forward that were a little bit slower, but all in all, I'm just super impressed. Not to be biased, but I don't know some of these other guys. So seeing this Area 51 here duo of Dale Wilby and Gabe Butler here just sticking together. And look, Eric Laurie just one car behind them two. All three of them had an amazing stop. They're still together. They're still running strong. So looking for them to just slowly be there. They're going to stay there all night long. And when it gets time to go, you're hardly going to be able to pull them away from the front.
Yeah, exactly right. So they've done a good job in saying, like you said, you talk about regulars, and you look at we talked about Jack Walls a little earlier. He's still, again, he's right back in this group, sitting in the main pack here on the inside line again, able to save a little extra fuel in the 83. So you've got Todd Siebels in the 45. He was always one to watch in the Sunday Super Speedway. And the 6 of Bud Steele. So we haven't talked about Bud at all, but he qualified 10th. He's running 10th. So he's just kind of running his game that he needs to do right now in that number 6 Ford. So say we've got some of our kind of seasoned veterans, if you will, as well, doing a really good job of holding this group right now. So and say with that too, it's now 16 trucks here in this lead pack. Like you said, Eric Laurie, the last one in that pack. But then you say you got to go to the next group. It's 6.5 seconds back, being led by that 420 of Dave Thatcher. So they kind of separated themselves as with Jay Hilliard, Paul Sheldon's in that group, Mark Brown, Michael Spell, Robert DuPont, and Jackson Carr. And then the third group, led by Dean Wilkinson, has got a few other trucks as well with Rob Malone, Larry Boyle, and Bob Fitzgerald. So the pit stops have kind of three distinct groups of trucks. Actually, I'd say 4 distinct groups, because you've also, unfortunately, I think I just did some commentator's curse on that 16 of Michael Taylor, because he's fallen back to the 28th position. Let's say he worked his way all the way up to the front, but unfortunately, long pit stops. I'm looking at his pit stop time here, Maxwell. 17.77 seconds. To me, that says probably a 4-tire stop, and maybe a little bit of damage repair even as well in that 16 truck. And so that put him in the pits for almost 50 seconds compared to the 38 or so we saw from the guys up front.
You just can't do that under green. Even if you've only got 2 or 3 seconds of damage, green flag is not the time to try to fix all that. So huge penalty here. I don't think these 3 cars are going to be able to catch these other packs in front of them. I think they can maybe stay on the lead lap from here, but if we keep going green all the way to the end of this, Gael, I look for these 3 drivers to go a lap down, and that's really going to be detrimental to what they're trying to accomplish here tonight. And just what we talked about, right? One mistake would be all it would take to put you in a big hole starting out this season. Like you said, we only have 11 races instead of 12, which I didn't even know about till you mentioned it in the broadcast. So, and now these guys trying to pass each other and get side-by-side race. It's just, they're not going to be able to make much time back here. Look for them to kind of be slow. But just putting themselves in a hole so early off just a simple mistake. You cannot stay on pit road that long under green, Gael. It's going to kill you every time. But one thing I want to watch, and you'll have to... Oh, I just went to it. Wow.
I just caught it. Yeah, David Thatcher got contact by, I believe that was Jay Hilliard. And actually, they're going to get saved right here as we got a caution on the track. It looks like there's other trucks involved just a little further up the road here. So I think it's Bob Fitzgerald is one, yeah, in the 08, and then also the 52 of Paul Sheldon. And yeah, we talked about the pushing gone wrong. Unfortunately, that was exactly what we just saw there. So say that caution is going to be a huge savior for a handful of drivers here. I see the pace car heading back out on track. So let's go back. We'll take a look to see exactly how this all kicked off. Like I said, unfortunately, I think it was just a push gone not quite to plan here. Let's take a look one more time. Yeah, you can see you're already happening. So let's go back a little bit, get a better angle of it here, and say we're gonna watch from Dave Thatcher here. Try to get a better shot as they come out of the tri-oval. And so you see Jay Hilliard right behind. You can see already he's just off just to the left a little bit, and then yeah, just gets the bumper to him just a little bit off-centered. And when we mentioned, we kind of jokingly about the push here. He was off-centered and say pushed where you did not want to push, and so to say that's where you see the contact for Dave Thatcher. But then let's see what happened, because yeah, if you look just in front of there, you see some more contact happening between the 52 and then the 08. Everybody's kind of just stacking up in reaction to that incident. So honestly, the second contact is what's really going to save a handful of these drivers, because if it was just Dave Thatcher going around, we would have stayed green. But with that extra contact, I'll say unfortunately for those involved, you see actually the 88 truck in there as well. I'm trying to double check. I don't know if that's actually Michael Spell's 88 truck or not. Let me hunt him down here on the timing and scoring. Why can't I find Michael here? There he is. Oh yeah, it is Michael actually is involved in that one as well. So that's going to bring out the yellow though. And so yeah, like I said, a huge break for those trucks that lost that lead draft after the first set of green flag pit stops. But that being said, we've got caution flag stops going now.
Absolutely. Some of these guys trying to come in and get an extra splash of fuel, just trying to make it where they can have a little bit of a different strategy, right? We talked about it. Caution can change everything. So now, knowing they went what? Right around 20 to 22 laps. Was that about the fuel window?
Yep, I think you're spot on there. Yeah, right around
all right.
20, 22
so,
range.
So if we do the math here, coming to start lap 30 as they come out of pit road, that makes it a one-stop race from here, I believe. So I believe they're only going to have to stop one more time. This would have been the time to also throw on some 4 tires, just to make sure maybe you didn't have to take tires at all on the next stop and you had that quickest pit stop possible. And I don't think you'll have to have exactly a full load of fuel to make it to the end, but watch for some of these guys maybe to pit early, right as that fuel window opens with about 20 or 22 to go, and then from there the race will be on. But one more thing I wanted to add to that incident before we continue on here while we're under these long pace laps is, we saw multiple things in that accident, Gael. We saw the 420. He was moving up a little bit, and that's a big no-no. You got to stay in line. You can't start moving up and giving somebody a nose underneath you. And Talladega is very wide and inviting, and when you do that, I'm a person, if you open up a door, I'm going to take it, and if you spin, to me, that's on you. Kind of like a Brad Keselowski, Carl Edwards kind of thing from their wreck they had at Talladega. You move up, I'm going to fill that hole. So... but also, sometimes when that car moves up, it actually makes like some kind of aero suction here where like the car can really suck up behind when they move up just a little bit. So that could have been part of it too. But also, we got to know that we're in the tri-oval, which is one of the loosest parts of this track. Knowing how loose this truck is tonight, you got to give people a little bit extra room in that tri-oval and not be trying to push, especially coming out as the car goes from banking back to flat. The car's already kind of coming, the rear end's trying to lift a little bit. You don't want to be pushing or even be really that close coming out of the tri-oval for sure. So just a lot of things caused that. And then really the wreck itself at the 420 wasn't the caution. It was everybody else having to check up. And they all ran into each other and spun each other out. So look to see more of that. We've seen some pretty aggressive racing tonight. Now we've had our first yellow. And you know what they say about yellows, Gael? Cautions breed cautions. So might see another one tonight to really shake this strategy up.
Yeah, and I'm saying adding strategy to it, we've got a couple trucks topping off, first of which is going to be Jack Walls in the 83 truck. So we'll have to see how this is going to pass. He's just going to take that little extra splash and get rolling again. Also, you see a handful of trucks further back here because, like I said, we're going to be restarting here on lap 32. That's going to be 43 laps to the finish. So like I said, you split that up. I mean, it's going to be right on that number. If you can go that 22 laps or so, you're going to be sitting pretty with maybe a lap to spare on fuel. So the other thing to mention is a couple trucks actually kind of saving themselves a little bit is Paul Sheldon, Dave Thatcher. They're going to get that wave around as well because they had to get service done to their trucks and get back out on track. So they're going to get back on the lead lap here with that. And also, I believe the wave around went to the 20 of Alberto Lopez. And we had mentioned for Alberto, he was trapped a lap down for most of that race here. So now he's back into the lead lap and into the thick of things, which I think leaves just, I believe, Joe Della Vecchia and Josh Stichterman as drivers a lap down. Joe being one down in that 052. We saw him, unfortunately, kind of the wrong end of the contact. And the pit mistake for Josh Stichterman. And actually, I need to add Bob Fitzgerald to that list, also 2 down. So those guys, unfortunately, going to be restarting a little further back here. So, but now the drivers that topped off, though, they all have to restart single file Maxwell. They got to be very, very careful here not to kind of lose the draft on this restart, because this is where you can actually control the restart. Do we see any gamesmanship from the Dale Cup guys? Maybe they jump a little early, maybe trying to catch a few guys off guard here. and they can try to start drafting aggressively, maybe see if they can build a gap, and maybe just turn this, instead of it being, what, 20, 27, 28 trucks on lead lap, maybe they can drop this thing down to about 10, 15 trucks on the lead lap. Or not in the lead lap, but in the lead pack, I should say. Apologies.
Absolutely. I don't know that I wouldn't just want to be one of those guys, single file in the back, kind of avoid some of this mess we might see as the pace car gets ready to pull in. We're getting ready to have a restart, but I like the storyline of the Dale Cup guys versus the Area 51 Dominators, right? We got the Dominators hanging out in the back. Dale Cup guys are dominating up front. The green is out there, taking off, and these three are going to just line up together and try to control this race. Look for that 49 to come down, unless he's going to hang in the back. Here he comes, hauling behind. Don't forget about Everett Lane in the 84. He's up to 4th. If he can get a little help, he can probably shake up this dynamic trio up here.
Yeah, and I threw it out there, and that's exactly what they do here. And I think it's a great strategy. Have your teammates up front, try to take advantage of it. If they catch back up to you and have the big momentum, it's not a big loss, because now I'll say they're going to have to really fight hard to, one, they're going to have to burn the field to get back up to you. And then also say they're going to have to try to just get the draft back up there as well. But a little surprised here to see Sebastian Marin actually jumping to the outside of Zach Lima. I really would have expected to see them kind of just all kind of pick up on the inside line. So, but you can see right now they have separated by a couple of groups here. It looks like, I believe, right on the tail end of this group is the first truck is going to be, or last truck I should say, going to be Mark Brown, who's part of the lead lap group. That's 12 trucks basically that are now in this lead pack. The 13 truck, Todd Siegels, he's already 4 seconds off that lead pack. That's how much of a difference going early made to catch some of those guys off guard.
Absolutely. Hey, we got a driver up front we ain't talked about all night. How could we not talk about Bud Steele? He's having a strong run. He stayed quiet all night, just kind of rode the line, and here he is in the top 8 trying to battle. And weird move here by the 49, but we see the 95 move with him to kind of help keep a draft. I wonder if that's to try to keep these guys together. So we see Everett Lane up top, and now we're starting to see 3 wide again. Told you, cautions breed cautions, and now a lot of these guys feel relieved. They feel like they're caught right back up where they had a deficit on green flag stops, and now these guys are about to race probably really hard. Still saying we haven't seen the big one yet tonight, Gael, and maybe we won't, but I don't know. As we get toward the end of this, I think we're going to see a big crash before this is all said and done. But hopefully we stay green, and we see now an Area 51 guy trying to take it from the Dale Cup guys on turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, I say right now, you say 3x3 for about 3 rows here. The ones I'm going to do, I say, should we stay green? The ones I'm watching, though, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be Mark Brown in the 73 truck, Larry Boyle right in front of him, Frank Gramuglia in the 113 truck. They're just in cruise control here. They can save fuel very well here. Even Robert DuPont in the bottom of this 3-wide battle. These guys can really save fuel. These guys up front, in the middle, leading the trucks, pushing, and then on the middle and top group, they're burning more fuel than the rest of the field. So if we stay green, I'm really liking those 4 or 5 trucks right now, just kind of in the fuel save mode right now.
Absolutely. Again, I'm not 100% on how much we can save as far as fuel goes, but I know you can make it where when you pit, you have less fuel to take, which could equal a shorter pit stop, which could really get you ahead if you've got 4 or 5 drivers on the same page with you. Look for, I don't know, some familiar names to pull that strategy maybe. They're hanging out, just chilling. Dale Wilby, Dave Butler, Eric Rory, you know, we've seen that happen before. Maybe they're at the back for a reason. And correct me, were they some of the drivers that came and topped off there with the 1 to go?
Yeah, they did top off. So right now, leading that second pack is the 45 of Todd Siegels. And they are starting to make ground a little bit. Last time by, they ran pretty similar lap times to leaders, but I've been watching the live intervals too, and it's gone from 4 seconds to about 3.8 or so. So I mean, that gap is starting to shrink a little bit, and this time by 0.4 of a second faster, 51.20 to leaders 51.63. So look how well organized this second pack is. They definitely know that they've got to do something here, and they are doing it very well. You got Dean Wilkinson, a great plate racer. You got Jack Walls right there as well, and they are working together very aggressively to try to close that gap and get them back in the lead pack here. Again, I say we're not doing pit stops at best. We got 1 stop to go for all these drivers. At worst, possibly a very small splash And again, this is all on it banking if it going green. You see the 55 has to jump to the top, getting hot there. So that's going to now take Jack Walls to switch over into the pushing duties.
And I tell you what, Gael, you were talking about this backpack here, trying to make up ground. As soon as I swapped to him, I saw the 52 in the trial all super loose by himself. And then about a half lap later on the backstretch, him and another driver dooring each other as if something might have happened. I'm going to try to go back and look. We got a caution on the track.
And it's up front. Oh, you see a 95 truck flipping there as we were going through. Zachary Lima, something big happened up front, so that's going to put us back under yellow, and it was the lead pack, so actually being further back may have been a blessing in disguise. We got to see what happened there.
We've got all our good trucks tore up, Gael.
Yeah, something big happened there. We're going to go hunt that down here real quick, because you're right. I mean, you look at the gap right now, you got basically 2 trucks up front, and then nobody else around, so let me go hunt this down here. Just give me a moment. Yeah, it looks like I may have kicked off around Zachary Lima, so let's start with him. Alright, so we're looking at the number 95 truck who's leading that inside line. So yeah, like you said, Maxwell, this is up front and the lead pack, and it looks like you see the 49 truck behind him. Don't see anything out of the ordinary as of yet. You can see they're pretty lined up well with one another. So we'll keep watching here as they go through 1 and 2. So we're still watching here and kind of running slow-mo. Oh, you see Zachary Lima, he slides up to try to control the top groove in front of Everett Lane, but then Everett has to check up, and I think just the accordion effect there, you got 31 Gary Slapinski, maybe has to push a little bit, but yeah, unfortunately for that 93 truck, big contact actually gets hooked up into the wall there. Then we'll jump back to some of the other trucks. Like you said, it all kicks off afterwards too, so we'll go back and take a look at the rest of these trucks involved. So say we'll go back here. But yeah, say after the initial contact, yeah, then you see the 23 gets into the back of the 31. He hooks the 24, which hooks Everett Lane. So you see, yeah, the 49 sneaks by, but then like I said, pretty much a lot of that lead pack getting caught up in this one there.
Absolutely, and I'm having some technical difficulties on my end. I go back to watch it, and all the cars disappear right before the wreck. So I don't know if it's a draw issue I've got or what, where I'm not getting enough cars on track at once. But wow, man, I'm just watching here on the broadcast. It's a little delayed, and just look at that aftermath. You got a truck upside down in the back. They're wrecking on the apron. That's. I told you I felt a big one coming, Gael, and I told you cautions breed cautions, and these leaders had new hope and a new sense there. Tore up a lot of good race trucks.
Yeah, a lot of trucks here, unfortunately, and take the brunt of that one. So we'll jump back live here. And Mr. Strategy, Jack Walls, he has opted to stay out, keep that track position. Looks like everybody else went ahead and pitted. But for Jack, like I said, he topped off under that yellow, and he feels like, you know what, with this yellow too, that's going to still keep him in that window here to make it to the end on one more stop. The problem now, though, is he's going to have to pit, if you look at the lap numbers, probably about 8 laps earlier than the rest of the field is when he's going to have to come in. So he's going to have to hope for some friends to maybe come in with him.
I'm questioning this call by Jack Walls. I really am. When you have the whole rest of the field pit, that's kind of a no-brainer. You come in with them because what do you have to lose? And as we get ready to cross the line here momentarily to come to lap 40, and we know we can make 20 to 22 laps on fuel, that puts us anywhere to lap 60 to 62 as far as you can stretch it. This is a 75-lap race. These guys may come in way early to go ahead and take that little bit of fuel. And if Jack even comes with them, he's still going to have to take a lot more fuel, Gael. That's going to put him in a spot where he could get left out of a draft and where he could really fall hard. I would almost take the penalty here and go ahead and come in and top this fuel tank off and just start EOL here if it would allow me to.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he does anything with this. Another driver also we see in this group here is Joshua Stichterman. We mentioned he was, I believe, 2 laps down. It looks like he's going to, I believe, we'll see if he ducks in, but I think he's going to stay out here, which I believe will put him down to just 1 lap down in that 199 truck. I was saying, which, of course, once you get that to just being 1 down, it opens up a whole slew of opportunities for you. Yeah, sure enough, yeah, it looks like he's going to be just one down after he gets this wave round here on the one to go. But yeah, so it's going to be all to play for. And like you said, Maxwell, they can come in early, basically once they're in the window here. Like I said, maybe around 20 to go or so. Once they're in their window, they can hop in and pit. But the other driver I'm watching that, not sure, maybe just by chance he had pitted there. But again, the 113 Frank Gramuglia shows him pitting on lap 37. Everybody else pitting on lap 38. I think that everything may have kind of worked out perfectly for him, because he's going to now restart in that second spot. I think he may have actually pitted right when that caution happened and was able to cycle back out in front of those guys.
Absolutely. So we're going to be able to see just a interesting race here now, Gael. We got a lot of our players taking a fast repair, I'm sure, but some of them probably had to tow. Going to be a lap down now, I would imagine. Fast repair taken, but we got a few guys going to be battling for a lucky dog, trying to get back to where they can have a chance to come to the front yet again. And we've also got a bunch of new players up front. So, Gael, guess what that could mean? Cautions again could breed cautions with a whole new group. These guys have a fresh sense. They see a win dangling in front of them. They see a lot of good guys taken out. Are they going to be able to take advantage of this, or are they going to get greedy and get wadded up in another wreck? We've already seen 2 tonight. We might just see one more.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's a whole new group of guys up front here. Like I said, Jack Walls, he's been running up front, but now he's going to restart as our leader. Same thing we mentioned about Frank Gramuglia in the 113. I say we've seen Steve Krosek up front, but he's lost his helpers around him, so I say he's going to have to hope that they are able to get back up to him to have some teamwork. But then, like I say, we got some new players in the group here as well. Like I said, I haven't really talked about Larry Boyle in the 28 at all. He's now right up into the thick of this thing. Alberto Lopez missed the start. He's now in the top 10 in that 18 truck. So it's a whole new cast of characters up front. So it's going to get pretty interesting. I see a little bit of juking around there. I think everybody kind of trying to get lined up here. So I have to be careful to make sure that they don't get into one another, and of course also make sure they get lined up here for this restart.
Absolutely. So here we come. Pace car in, coming through the trial. Well, these guys all lining up, ready to go. A few guys taken out, a few guys new faces up front. Green flag is now out, and here these drivers go. Who's going to work with who? Who's going to help who?
As I lost you there for a moment there, Max. Hopefully we get you back. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. It's a whole new cast of characters, like we mentioned. And I think what we saw in that restart was I think drivers are getting a little more antsy about the restart there. I think that's why we saw people starting to stack up, getting ready to go in case Jack maybe went early. But you can see he waited for that green flag to fly to keep everybody bunched up with one another as he gets a bit of a push there. Got a little loose. But that's the danger of the aggressive pushing. You see that momentum cost allows the 113 to clear. They take over the point on the inside line.
Absolutely. Now, I hope you have me now, Gael. You still got a copy, bud? All right. So I was reloading my sim with this draw issue under the caution, trying to see if I could get more cars to draw in. Doesn't look like it worked for me, so I may be on the struggle bus keeping up with everybody tonight. But anyways, we do see that Jack Walsh did keep it nice and steady. He's got a Dale Cup guy kind of working with him right now. He's lost all his buddies. They're kind of toward the back right now. They're trying to work their way up to him, but I don't know. I think they're still possibly a lap down. Yes, they are actually. Wow, the 95 now 2 laps down because of that tow that he had to do. So he's probably just trying to get up here to help the 49 and just push him the rest of the way. I think he's pretty well out of it at 2 laps down. But we see a lot of guys that were involved in wrecks earlier. That 52 I talked about, door banging with people. Look at him trying to make his way up into the midst of the top 10. And just some other guys we haven't seen up front all race long starting to make their way up here.
Yeah, as you can see, already getting dicey. That third line already formed. Like I said, Paul Sheldon trying to work the top side. Like I said, trying to get back to the front here. It's gonna get interesting. And the other thing for me is I try not to be biased at all, but I say the 15 truck of Noel Coers, I say kind of biased to say before my dad went to that number 51 Area 51 cars, he was 76 paint scheme. So I say seeing that 76 truck in the middle of this field, say kind of makes me have to unofficially root for him a little bit. Say hopefully no commentators curse for you, Noel. But yeah, I say it was pretty fun to see that truck out there as well.
Absolutely, and you actually made the comment before I could, as I handed it off here to you. I was just thinking the same thing, and I thought, wow, I guess they say great minds think alike, Gael. So, no, I'm just kidding. But no, we just see that he's running very strong, kind of one of those new names. At least I don't recognize him. And I'm seeing a lot of new names up here at the top. And here's a familiar one, that 45 Todd Siebel's looking like he's got a big run with the 52 of Paul Sheldon, starting to make their way to the front, and these guys just haven't learned yet, have they? 3x3x3 for the lead. Gael, I think I like these trucks and these factors they brought to the table. I was skeptical at first when it was announced, but Gael, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is putting on some more intense racing than we've seen in late races in a little while.
Yeah, this has definitely been an exciting one. Like I said, they've been dicing either mid-pack up front. Say they just, it's like 3x3 with these trucks right now. So, like I said, unfortunately, that 45 had a big push to get towards the front, but unfortunately, that push kind of fizzled out a little bit, so he's had to drop back a little bit. But look at now up front here, Larry Boyle and 28 truck. Again, we mentioned, we haven't talked about him a lot tonight. Now he is right up in the mix here, leading that second group. He's going to lead this lap as well. And you look right behind him, there's Steve Krosek. He's been kind of in the lead pack and controlling a lot of the He doesn't want to be that third truck in line. He's going to jump to the top, see if he can get that get himself back up there as well. So yeah, so a lot of strategies playing out here. Everybody trying to jockey themselves to be in that right position. But again, they don't have to worry about it too much yet. We still got one stop left to go in this race. So say it's not all out of the running right now. And saying the one thing that actually maybe benefits Jack Walls with this match about, he's right back into that third spot, so he can kind of save fuel once again and maybe try to make a late pit stop, or make his final stop, I should say, with a pack of trucks towards the front of this group. So I'm going to say all definitely not lost for that. 83 truck is a little bit of a bobble there on the inside middle line there. Close call to the trial, but it looks like they're going to get through it.
The only reason I think this 83 stays out is he's looking at yet another caution that can be where he can hit under yellow and make it to the end. Because I do not see... I give you a round of applause, Gael, for trying to make that strategy sound good, but just in my eyes, I can't see it. He's just, 7-8 laps of fuel is huge when you only have 20 overall. It's almost a half tank compared to everybody else. And even if he pits with them for the draft, he's got to take a certain amount of fuel to make it to the end. And with his tank being a little bit more on empty, he's going to have to take a whole lot more fuel, especially if he pits on the earlier side of the run, when I think a lot of them will, because they can do a short fill and get it full and just go ahead and run the full fuel load out. Where if he comes in during that time, he's going to have to take more fuel to get it filled up to take it to the end. And and that's what Jack Walls is looking for, caution.
Yeah. Couple trucks around, a couple just missing in there. You see the 95, 31's in it, the 47 was in it as well. Couldn't see exactly where it all kicked off, but unfortunately, it's another, actually, honestly, not as big as it could have been with as many trucks that were in that pack here. But yeah, that puts us back under yellow. Let's see if we can hunt down where this all kicked off with this incident. So we'll try. Oh yeah, you can see it. Actually, it looks like the 95 of Zachary Lima, say night going from bad to worse. He was already 2 laps down, and then looks like he's going to have some contact. We'll go back a little bit to check to see how this all happened. But it looks like it may have been contact with the 07, if I'm not mistaken here. So watch as they come through the tri-oval. So yeah, you can see the 07. Yeah, he's drifting up a little bit here, and yeah, just catches the left rear of that 95. Unfortunately, say just unlucky, and then unfortunately for the 47 truck, just gets right hooked basically out into the wall, and then actually a couple trucks getting caught up in that. Was that? Oh, Josh Stichterman was one of those trucks that looks like may have just got caught up in that as well. Truck looks like he may have gotten away with it. The 052. Or yeah, the Kodak truck maybe getting a little bit of a piece as well. So yeah, a couple trucks involved. Honestly, not as big as it could have been, but again, a few trucks are a tough spot, as I don't know who has any fast repairs left on their vehicles. You see a couple trucks opting pretty much just to come to a stop like Gabe Butler. But we're gonna jump back live here though, Maxwell, because I think, like you said, we're still outside the pit window. However, like I said, I think if you're Jack Wallace here, I feel like you need to pit at this point because right now we're at 28 to go. We'll restart with about, what, 25 to go. It won't be in the window, but at that point, you're just at a splash of fuel to make it to the end.
Absolutely. I just, the 07 here, I'm looking back at this replay real quick while these guys pit, and I don't know. At first, I thought he got loose, but Gael, I think it was just unaware of what was going on here. He just moves up as if the 95's not there. He just moves right up and just clips him. That may be something that has to be reviewed a little bit later because that was pretty bad looking on replay, but man, it caused a big wreck, and I think that took that Dale Cup driver, the 95, completely out. I think that's going to be his one fast repair done, and I think that truck's going to be destroyed from here on out. So if you guys might have used up their fast repair earlier and now mid-pack, I mean, cautions breed cautions. We've said it once, we'll say it again. Man, that was just unfortunate because I think that one could have been avoided, but definitely got some action here as these guys finished up pit stops. I'm sure the running order got all sorts of shaken up here.
Yeah, a little bit. I think Steve Krosa going to be the beneficiary. He's going to come back out in the front. But what this also does, though, is this gives a couple drivers that were down laps, I should say. I see Bud Steele's one of those in the 6 truck. I think I see Josh Stichterman. He actually decides to stay out yet again here. As I believe this will put him back on the lead lap here. I'm trying to see who the lucky dog went to. I think it actually looks like it was a 24 Brian Grimm in that U.S. Army truck. So I believe for Brian, that's gonna put Brian back onto the lead lap. And I'll say, like I said, right now Josh Stichterman tail end of the lead lap, and then a few trucks here also that are staying out, I believe, hoping to get back onto the lead lap. I think Michael Spell is one, Dave Thatcher is another. I believe this will put them from 2 down to 1 down, if I'm not mistaken. Like we just said a little earlier, Maxwell. I mean, it opens up so many more opportunities for you here, catching that yellow, being 1 down instead of the 2 down.
Absolutely. You know who this caution saves? Jack Walls.
I say, could it be an 83 truck? Yeah, I say he
Jack
did pit there. And just to prove your point there, Maxwell, looking at the pit stop time, Jack had, for those that I believe took fuel only, he had about an 8.4 second pit stop. Some of those guys in front of him that pitted as well, they were in the 7 seconds. Joe Delvecchi only had to pit 6.4 seconds. So yeah, so it's probably going to be an extra 2 or 3 seconds for Jack, which, as we know, under green, you're going to lose that draft if you had to do that.
Absolutely. So something else I want to ask you, Gael. A little trivia on Green White Checker TV tonight. How about that, folks? Gael, in all your experience watching these super speedway guys, who do you think has done the absolute best when it comes to fuel management in a race?
Unfortunately, well, I should say the driver that's here, I'm going to say that's going to be Jack Walls. He's kind of Mr. Fuel Man. However, the driver that's not here tonight, for me, Mr. Fuel save every week, is that 89 of Matt Quick. Matt was always the one I would watch on the fuel side of things. He would always try something different, and if it lined up for him, it usually would end very well for him. But is unfortunately everything had to line up perfectly for him. So, but while I'm mentioning that, though, we had a lot of drivers here top off on that 1 to go. Dale Willoughby, Gabe Butler, Everett Lane, Eric Laurie, and we're gonna restart 25 to go. I don't think it's in the window, but maybe they can put just that little bit less fuel in that tank. Maybe they can only, the way these cars in iRacing work, you kind of had to pit, you can only put in increments. So you can, I think it's like 1.7 gallons and 3.4 gallons. Maybe this caution and this topping off, maybe that puts them into the 1.7 window instead of having to do 3.4.
You mentioned 4 names that I was going to bring up that play strategy very well in restrictor plate races, that I think it plays right into their hands. We're going to restart and have, about 24 laps to go here?
25.
We know we can go about 22 laps when we're flooring it on fuel. These guys have hung out in the back. They've been practicing their fuel save. They know how to stick together. They know that even if they lose a little bit of the draft, they can still save some fuel. Gael, I think this shapes up to see some familiar faces up front toward the end of this. Notice they haven't been up front all race long. That's been by design. Matter of fact, when they did get close to the top 10, I saw them pull up in the second lane and let some other guys by. So let's not count out some of our restrictor plate champions of the Area 51 League and just some of the best that we've seen. You know, we've got these Dale Cup guys have kind of all wrecked up and spread out. Now we got the other guys are all still stuck together. Watch for that strategy to unfold as the pace car comes in. Are they going to hang out and save a little fuel? I think so. Will it be enough? We'll have to find out. As these drivers come through the tri-oval, waiting on that green flag to drop. We see them all lined up really good on the bottom. The top side, they're kind of all spread out. Green flag is out. Here they take off, and the bottom line looks to just be organized with a good push. We'll see how they favor as they go off into turn one.
Yeah, so far so good. Like I said, the drivers that topped off as well say they're going to be in a better spot this time. It looks like a much cleaner restart. I'd say, and again, for Steve Krosek, there's no point in really have his teammates with him to be able to jump with him. So yeah, so right now, he's going to probably feel a little bit lonely here. You have to wonder, whenever you're that hot man out that's still up front with the guys around you, you always worry. It's like, okay, well, I've been kind of beating up on these guys with my teammates. Is it my turn to get picked on, if you will? So that being said, though, I'm sure these guys know how to build into that running next truck. So you always want to work with someone who's fast, regardless of team or not. So it's gonna be interesting to see. And like I said, strategy-wise, maybe we see some people decide to pit once the window opens up. They say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna pit at 22 to go instead of trying to save all the way to the end. So yeah, but there's gonna be a lot to play for here. And so, like I said, cautions breeding cautions. They see a little bit of a wiggle on the inside line there. Big Thatcher. But yeah, so I mean that could be the other thing too. So they say, tops off there. If we get more yellows, we're not coming back in. We're gonna get that track position.
What about this? Let me play devil's advocate here. Let me just kind of throw out some different ideas. We've had a caution-filled race for the most part. We can predict, probably, I would dare say before the end of this, we might see another. We see our usual suspects. I went back and watched. And guess what? They're just hanging out at the tail end of this lead pack. They ain't even making an attempt to get up here and all this. Even if another caution comes out, if they start saving fuel now, can they save enough under the caution flag to where they don't even have to come down pit road when everybody else does, and they just inherit the lead as they cycle at pit, and then they can run up front the rest of the race and control this thing?
I think it's a very good possibility. And say, so we'd start looking at some of those drivers that also topped off on that one to go along with them. I'd say right now, Paul Sheldon, James Hickson, there are the top two of those that did top off. Obviously, right in front of Dale Willoughby, so I mean, it's not like they're seconds off of them or anything like that. So. And again, this is where if you are in that mindset, you need to be running this inside line and just saving every ounce you can. But yeah, I think you're right, though. I think for some drivers, if there's another yellow, you will not see anybody. You won't see everybody pit. There's going to be some that say, you know what, that caution, that's going to put me in my window. I'm going to take this thing to the end no matter what.
I think the guys that topped off, they're going to stay out if there's a yellow. The guys that didn't top off, I think they're going to have to pit and just take that splash and go.
So you see how close right now these drivers are. It's hard to think that there won't be another yellow. We'll jump to the wall cam here because as I said, we've got some very exciting racing going on. Like I said, 2x2 as well. I mean, these guys are definitely making here as we get kind of towards crunch time in this one.
Absolutely, we see two different races right now, don't we? We see the guys in the back saying, "We've raced a bunch of these races. I'm not ready to go up there yet." And then we see some other guys. They're like, "Hey, all these guys have wrecked out. Now's my chance. Now's my chance to get up here. Now's my chance to lead some laps. Because if I'm correct and nothing's changed, you do get points for leading a lap, and I think leading the most laps in this league." And we've seen these championships come down to the wire, have we not, Gael? So leading laps, huge. So some of these guys, now that some others have wrecked out, they said, hey, here's my bonus point. Hey, maybe now I can lead the most laps that all these guys are wrecked out and had to quit. So some guys digging a hole very early on by racing hard at the start. And then we see some guys that are championship contenders knowing how this is, just keeping their trucks clean. Oh, and by the way, not using a fast repair yet, as we still have just about 20 laps left in this race.
Yeah, exactly right. You go after the line, and you're right. I mean, that's the next thing is who actually has a fast repair. Another big incident that could be a big change as well to the outcome of this race for those that don't have one in hand, and those that do. And I wonder if I got to go back and talk about is that 31 truck yet again of Gary Slipinski. He's been caught up in a couple of these incidents, and he is still out there, and he's in the top 10 right now, running the inside line as he gets really close there to Alberto Lopez. A third incident, but yeah, I think he's been caught in a couple of these. And I mean, he's still going after this thing in that 31 truck.
Absolutely, and he's got a little bit of rear damage on my screen. I hope it's the same for you. So that's probably going to be one of those he has to stay in the draft. If he goes to try to pull out, it may have a little bit of drag there to it. But how about another shout out, the 420 truck? Last time we talked about him, he was getting wrecked into the infield off the tri-oval. Now look at him. He is running up here in great position, just hanging out, biding his time, waiting for the moment that he can go and take this victory.
So I have to be that guy, and I apologize, but unfortunately, he's in a great track position, but he's actually down a couple laps still. So, but you're right, though. I mean,
I just now saw it.
I say he's in a good position, though. I believe right now we've got 22 trucks. Take a cycle through to verify. Actually, 23. I'm sorry, Dean Wilkinson. I believe the last truck on the lead lap in that number 55 machine. And I say I think Dean right here just kind of playing it safe, playing it smart. But then we do need to mention again that Lucky Dog battle right now is still the 1 and 9 of Josh Stichterman. He is the first truck one down. Leading the outside line. He's been battling hard all race long to try to put himself back in contention. And here come pit stops, like we talked about a little early.
Well, you know, part of me is surprised by this, and part of me is not. Just, you know, these guys coming down pit road, and we see our championship people. You called it.
Yeah, I saw one truck miss the pit entry a little bit, but yeah, you're right. Gabe Butler, Dale Willoughby, they're also in with this group as well. So I saw one truck miss the pit entry. Oh, it was the 23 of Sebastian Marin. Got a little bit too hot. Knew he wasn't going to make it. If he did, he was going to run into the back of somebody else. So, unfortunately, it's going to really hurt his race, but a very respectable move by Sebastian. Decided just to roll out of it and take the loss there and get back out. So we're going to jump back up front, though, Maxwell, because now do we see the response? Because, I mean, these guys, if they choose to, they can keep going as long as they want to. But you see, actually,
we see a response right here.
Here's a couple of them, not as many. But it looks like about 5 trucks hitting it for their last scheduled stop.
Now it's going to be this. I'm worried about this 49. He's been doing great. I mean, these Dale Cup guys, we have seen so much speed out of them, so much control of the front of the pack. It is a special art to control the front, but now he's a Lone Ranger. I don't see more of his teammates around him. He's had guys that came with him, but are they going to be good enough to keep up and be able to push him to the victory like he needs? Because you've got a ton of teammates running together. As you see, he's going to almost lose that lead. Yeah, he's going to lose a spot right here coming out of pit road. 29 just with a great stop.
Yeah, so now the goal for Steve here and also for Jason is they need to try to get up to speed before that group, now being led by Gary Slipinski, gets up to them. That's going to be their best opportunity. So now once everybody builds their speed back, because our lead pack, they stayed out. We had a few more come in. Todd Siebels, Brian Grimm, Paul Sheldon. Those 3 hit pit road. We've still got a good chunk of trucks here that have stayed out. So what I'm going to be watching is going to be lap times here, Maxwell. Because right now it's in the 52-second bracket. I want to see what that had just pitted, what they're going to be up to speed once they kind of get their steam rolling again too. Because I think that's going to be the telltale to see in this long run, kind of the overcut, if you will. Is that going to work, or is the short pitting going to be the right call here?
Yeah, I tell you what, when I saw first couple cars come, I thought there's either got to be a caution now, or this is all for naught. But you know, with them knowing they could stay on the lead lap, probably pitting early was going to be the best thing. Only for the simple fact that even if a caution does come out, they've got their pit stop done. They've probably still stayed on the lead lap. And then they can just cycle out up front as everybody else has to pit. But if I'm this lead pack, man, I'm probably thinking missed opportunity here. Once I saw, you know, the one of Gabe Butler and Dale Willoughby and the 7 come down and Eric Laurie come down, you know, knowing and seeing these guys in this league do this time and time again, that's when it hit me, and that's why I like the response out of that 49 to go ahead and come that next time saying, okay, they're not doing this to me. You know, now's my chance to come in. But this lead pack, they've done made their bed now. Even if they were to pit, I think they're going to start losing time. So,
yeah.
man, what a tough situation. They're just praying for a caution at this point. That's all they can do is stay out front and hope there's a caution. That way they can maybe start clutching and saving, and I think they're going to have to try to make it work somehow on fuel, even if a caution comes out, to stretch it without pitting. Because if they pit, I don't know that you get around some of these guys that have already pitted, because they are strong drivers that have just been hanging out all race long. So, different strategies. It's interesting.
You mentioned about, like I said, about that 49 truck. He's right now the second truck in this group right now behind. Oh, actually, I say that behind 29. The 29 truck looks like he has to hit pit road here. Not sure if that's a pit penalty or something like that for him, unfortunately, but it's going to put him into the pits here, and unfortunately out of contention at the moment. But we talked about some of these guys that are just cruising, and I think cruise control mode is over. Eric Laurie here. But you see that outside line now. You've got the one lined up on the outside group. However, that inside line is actually holding pretty steady right now with Steve on the inside. He's got John Gabbard behind him and Jake Hilliard. But lap time wise, they are faster than our leaders by a couple of tenths every lap right now. So, like I said, right now these guys that are going up front, they are losing time to these guys that have already made their final stop.
Absolutely. And Gael, I don't know that it's going to affect him a whole lot. It doesn't look to be, but I try to go back on the replay and just, I don't know, my system's kind of not doing me any favors tonight. It kind of blinked out again, but I see some right side damage on the door of that one truck, which I'm not used to seeing. So I wonder if this pack here got a little bit racy back here in this second pack, because definitely got that right side skin up a little bit, but maybe it's just some weight reduction, because he is really trying to battle this 49 right now for what could be the possible race win, as these other guys have to pit later.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to jump. I see someone going on with the truck. Oh, James Hickson actually looks like had a mistake on pit entry. And I didn't mention, because, yeah, all these trucks we were just talking about running long, they do hit pit road now. Joe Delavecchia, Noel Coers, Mark Brown, Alberto Lopez, apologies, James Hickson. That leaves one truck out that is yet to make their final stop. And who other but Mr. Gambler of the 83 of Jack Walls.
Wrong move, man. He's all by himself. It's not, this backpack is so full of cars and so full of fast drivers. He should just bit the bullet there. He's really going to lose a lot of spots. And Gael, it's like I talked about earlier before the broadcast. These guys, first race, you can't really make a mistake. You need to finish top 5 to top 10 to really make sure you're in that point situation. And, man, I mean, he's probably going to fall back to at least a lap down, I would think. And we've got all the way up to 25th place, a lap down right now. So, just, man, I don't know that Jack Walls made the greatest move there staying out. We'll see how it works.
Yeah, so that's a waiting. The other thing that could go on is, I mean, he could be in a safer spot right now because he's in a little pack running single file. Let's jump back to Steve Krosick, Gabe Butler and company. They are 3 by 3, again, about 3 rows deep. So I say we've seen mistakes earlier while these guys run 3 wide. So I say he could be also in a great position because, like you said, I mean, if one person makes the wrong move towards the front of this group, they could all pile in each other and then he'd be looking terrible.
Absolutely, and Gael, I hope nobody at home thinks I'm biased. I've seen it too many times. Look at where that one truck is currently on the scoring pylon. Look at the 7. Look at the 071. They've been in the 20s all race long, but when it comes crunch time and we're about 10 laps to go, look where they're at, contending and battling for this lead. Right? Look at them go. I mean, just. It's amazing how they can strategize these races and hang out all race long and then be there just right when it matters.
Yeah, exactly right. See one truck have a duck off there, a late notice there to hit pit road to get out of the way. Those guys coming up to him. I'll say, but it's kind of crazy. Like, we know Jack's going to have to make a pit stop. Maybe you look at the ticker on the left here, and you've got Jack with a 32-second lead over second place as they run. So I'm sure Jack's loving seeing that on his relative, of course, wishing that he didn't have to make that final pit stop. But yeah, I'm looking at Jack pitting last at 48, so I don't think he was one that topped off either. So unfortunately, he doesn't have that going for him as well. But like I said, I mean, he's in this little calm group of 5 trucks here. Whereas we'll jump back. Oh, as I say, that caution's going to come out. We got a handful of trucks caught up in this one, and it looks like the 24. I think I saw the 74 of Jackson Carr was involved. Brian Grimm. So I'd say not as many trucks as I thought could have been involved in that one. So I'd say it's probably not going to work out for the benefit of Jack there for being a big one. But now the question is, yeah, does he kind of gamble and see if maybe that's enough fuel savings under yellow here or not for him?
Man, what works out for Jack Walls somehow. I don't know exactly how, but I don't like what I see in this wreck, Gael. Situational awareness, just a huge talking point tonight. That's the second wreck that could have easily been avoided if just, I know lap trucks like to go up high, but when you're racing with 10 laps to go and you know these guys are 3x3x3, you almost just got to go to the apron and get out of the way on that back stretch. You know you're out of contention for the win, so why are you going to hurt other people's chances? And I don't know. That was just watching it. He just clips
a little bit of net code, yeah, but yeah, I mean, it does look like the 12 is like I said, he's up against the wall. But unfortunately, like I said, just a little bit of contact between himself and the 74. And then, like I said, 24, just wrong place, wrong time for Brian. Gets the worst of it there. It's a tough place to be. You never want to be, like you said, a lot of times, like for me, especially like if I'm in that position, I kind of will usually call on the race chat, like, hey, where do I need to be? And they'll tell you, like, hey, high, low, or something. Like I said, for 3x3, they'll tell you we need you on the apron. So yeah, there's a lot of potential, but what I'm looking for here is I see Jack Walls. I don't see the pace truck, because I'm wondering, depending on where that pace truck is, Jack might be able to steal a free pit stop here, because I don't know where it is at the moment. Let me go back to Steve Korosik, because yeah, Jack's hitting pit road now. Like I said, I can't find the pace truck. I don't know if you see it, Maxwell, but the way it's looking right now, Jack might be able to sneak in here, get his tires, or maybe not tires, maybe fuel, just get that splash, and might be able to hold off with this lead here.
Pace car looks to be heading toward turn one right now. He had just caught it kind of right before he came to pit road here, so he is going to get his service completed and go ahead and pull on out.
He's going to come out and he's going to get merged out, I believe, in front of that 49 car. So truck, I should say. So I think Jack Walls is still going to be shown as our leader. I have never seen something like that before. I'm not sure where everybody got held up there. But yeah, I think Jack's going to be coming out of this one looking like a genius with the way this is all unfolded.
Talk about a way to, I don't want to say manipulate the system, but man, 3 different times in this race, he should have not been anywhere finishing good. I question the calls, because I see what others are doing and it's working, and it still could work for them. But luck is on the side of Jack Walls tonight. He stayed out knowing it's the first race of the season, going off a hope and a dream and a whim, and man, the racing gods are just looking down on him right now, That's just insane. I don't know about you guys, I'm took away at the luck that Jack Walls has had. And I'm not saying he's a great driver. He is. He's great at these plate races. But just every strategy he's tried has had no hope in it. Yet somehow here he is, coming out in perfect contention. And really possibly, am I wrong in saying he still has the race lead?
Yep. Yeah, he's going to cycle. Like I said, he was able to beat the 49 truck to the pit outline. Like I said, I'm not sure where the holdup was with the other trucks. Maybe they were opting, you know what, hey, let's save fuel into this yellow. They back it down, not realizing maybe that hey, we're not the leader here. If we don't hustle up here, we may not get that spot back. So yeah, I mean, I'll say Jack could have easily pitted there under yellow, and instead of coming out in the lead, he should have honestly probably would have cycled out in about, I think, 12th, 13th position at least. So yeah, like you said, I mean, right now, I'll say so far, knock on wood, I'll say luck definitely on the side of that 83 truck. And also for a driver never giving up here tonight, Josh Stichterman, he is finally back on the lead lap in that 199 truck, and just at the right time here. Now he's going to be able to go after this thing and see what he can do, because he's now finally back on the lead lap in the 20th position. And I think I saw one other truck here staying out to try to get his wave around and get back on the lead lap. And that's going to be Jason. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. Jason Milton is on the lead lap still. So yeah, so I think we're going to have 22 trucks, if I'm not mistaken, on the lead lap here.
Wow. Coming down to a short run here at the end.
5-lap restart.
Oh, Gael. What's going to happen? First race of the season, we've had some big crashes some guys took out. We got some big names up front, but do they really want to be up front here right now?
Yeah, this is a tough spot to be in. I think on the teammate side of things, I believe the 49 and the 30 of Steve Krosek, John Gabbard, I believe they are teammates just based on the, as I see a lot of Snap-on paint sponsorship on both those trucks. So I believe not by coincidence. But then, yeah, like you said, I mean, we've got now in 5th position, I believe it's going to be Gabe Butler in the one truck. He's got Dale Willoughby to his outside, and then one truck behind him is the 071 of Eric Laurie. Then, I mean, we've been talking about also Everett Lane a lot tonight. We've seen the recovery from Gary Slapinski a few times tonight. I mean, there's some big hitters here tonight, and it's going to be all about trying to find your friends here. Then, like I said, what's going to be the lane to be in to win this race, though? Obviously, if you're on the inside, you got the yellow line. You don't have to worry about anybody to the left of you, but we've seen the momentum always seems to really favor that middle groove to me. So it's going to be a risk versus reward here in these potentially final 5 laps. Of course, we do need to mention there are 3 attempts of a green-white checkered should we need it.
And do people have enough fuel for 3 attempts at a green-white checkered? Jack Walls might really sit pretty here.
Yeah, you're right. He might not have to worry about it. Other guys might be tighter, so we'll see as they're going to come through the tri-oval here. Now it's up to Jack's discretion, but I think he's got to wait till the green, keep this group all bunched up behind him, because I say this is definitely a track you don't want to build a big lead out on these restarts. As you can see, a big restart but so far so good it looks like, as these guys are going to start dicing for position here.
Going off side by side into turn 1. We see the 30 all over the bumper of Jack Walls. We've also got to watch these late race pushes, Gael. Who's going to push too hard? We've seen some bad pushes already tonight. You don't think they're not going to lay the bumper to somebody for the win here tonight? They're going to be pushing as hard as they can. Got to make sure we don't wreck anybody, though, as the 49 gets a huge head of steam in that outside lane. He's going to clear Jack Walls for the lead.
Yeah, great push by Gary there to get that 49 to the point. But now, say selfishly for Gary, that opens the door here now for him to be the push E from Everett Lane in that 24 truck. And look at the one truck of Gabe Butler. He's worked his way to the top. He's got Dale Willoughby behind him. They're going to make their way here to the 3rd line here as we're going to come across here. We're going to be at 4 to go.
Man, this is what we've been waiting. I say we've been waiting to see this all night. We've seen this all night. Ooh, in the stack up midfield. Oh, there they go, wrecking big time in 1.
Yeah, Todd Steeples, a big hit. A bunch of trucks involved here. Oh, literally just talking about Josh Stichterman getting back on the lead lap. He gets caught up in that. Mark Brown's in it. So we got multiple trucks involved. So that's going to put us in that green-white checkered territory. And yeah, I think just a little bit too much aggression. Drivers getting aggressive, trying to get back into it. But unfortunately, it's going to end for a few trucks here. So we'll jump back. Let's take another look. That's exactly what I was about to mention, Maxwell. You know that pushing is going to start getting a little more aggressive. And unfortunately, that was exactly what we just saw there.
You can't blame them, though. I mean, Kyle, you know, of all people, driving style I have, you got to go for the win. You're in position. You've run 70 laps, chilling out. You've got to go now. If someone doesn't go, you're going to make them go. You're going to push and push and push. And that's just what we see here in this tonight.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look, start with Mark Brown in that 73 truck. And, oh, it looks like a big wiggle. I think that might have been the 45 truck. Yeah, it looks like the 45 of Todd Siebels had a little bit of a big move to the inside. And then that kind of pushed him into the 73 and then into the 071. But then, man, that's like Todd Siebels winds up going for right. But look at the inside here. You see all these trucks getting caught up in this one. I'll say you see the 15 was in there, the 47, the 74. Actually, looks like 74 might have actually just gotten to drive through it. The 12 truck. So, yeah, so a lot of vehicles involved in this one. And so, yeah, so like I said, though, Maxwell, this puts us in green-white checkered territory. Who maybe played it a little too tight on fuel. And then, of course, then we're going to have to see where do all these drivers, where do they line up in relation to one another, hoping, of course, that they're either near or ideally in the same line as their teammates.
Absolutely. Going to have to really focus on that. And just to wrap that wreck up, Guile, I say that's nobody's fault here. Accordion effect, if you look, the 1, he's doing his thing. The 7 comes up, tries to ease up to the bumper. The 55 doesn't realize that he's trying to ease up to the bumper, has to kind of back out of it a little bit quicker. Then the 45 has no time to react. 45 stops and gets the 15, knocks the 73 down into the 071, and it's just on from there. So it's just a chain effect there. I'm watching those guys that topped off earlier. Great strategy. Was going to work if we stayed green. I know we've had some caution laps, but is it enough? We don't run full fuel loads in this series, so is the fuel burn a little bit higher? Are these guys going to have enough fuel here to the end, or are they going to have to fight the bullet? Green, white checkers coming up and have to stop in to get some gas. I don't think they're going to lose that many spots per se, but I don't know. There's still, what, about 20 cars on the lead lap? That's going to be a real interesting call there, Gael, because the last thing you really want to do is run out of fuel on the last lap.
Yeah, Sam, riding on board, listening to Gabe Butler say he's rolling the apron here. And yeah, that truck he's shutting that truck off, trying to save every drop of fuel he can, because you never know, you might need all 3 attempts here tonight. So I think he's just got to play it safe as best he can here.
Yeah, Gael, they had a great strategy. Really thought they were going to pull off the win tonight, especially that 1. Somehow he always finds his way in front of all his teammates. I don't know how that works out unless it's by design, but he always gets to reap the rewards, it seems like, in this group. But I'm worried about him. I'm worried about the 7. All those guys that topped off and 1 to go. I mean, they can't. They could pit, but they're not going to have in 2 laps enough time to work their way through this pack. They've got to almost stay out and attempt this, but man, if they run out, it's going to be bad.
Well, I feel like safely I believe they pitted on lap, let's see, it was like 58 for Steve Krosek, 57 for Slipinski, Everett Lane, and Gabe Butler. So that's pitting at what, 18 to go. So I think they've got at least maybe 2 or 3 laps of a buffer just right there. And then now with this caution as well, actually I should say 2 cautions now when you think about it. So I feel like they're probably honestly safe for at least 2 green-white checkers, depending on how close they cut it on fuel, because you never know how little they put in. You would hope that they filled it to the top on that final stop, but you always know these guys will pull a little bit of strategy wherever they can. So
that's what I'm thinking here, Gael. We know these guys. We've watched them a bunch. I've been with you on the Sunday side, helping broadcast from time to time, and we've seen it over and over and over. These guys, they don't put full fuel loads in when it comes to the end of the race. They put just what they need, because that little bit less fuel means less weight, which means more speed. So those guys probably, I don't know if they filled them up or not. They could have. I don't know. But seeing the 1 car on the apron here, I'll tell you, it's not a good sign for me. That must have been, and you got to remember, they were having to lead that second pack for a little while, probably burning more fuel than they have all race long. So the 7 seems to be on the banking, thinking he's pretty confident, but it's really concerning me seeing the 1 here. I don't recall seeing him ever have to do this that much, riding down on the apron.
Yeah,
he must genuinely be concerned.
Yeah, so you never really want to show your hands with these guys at these types of races. So yeah, so the fact that you see the 1 kind of doing that, unless again maybe he's trying to make them think he doesn't have enough to play it safe to maybe all 3, and just kind of doing a little bit of some poker stuff there as well. So, but now we got to look at where everybody's lining up. So you've got Steve Krosek leading now on the inside. Jack Wall's behind him. Outside line, you got Gary Slipinski, Everett Lane in that second group. In the third group, you've got the 1 of Gabe Butler. Right behind him, you've got the 7 of Dale Willoughby. However, they're on the inside line. They'll have to find their way to get to that second or third line to have a chance. And then we mentioned the 30 and the 49 trucks. They're a little bit separated right now, so they don't have the help they need. But then, I mean, look at some of these guys a little further back. You got Alberto Lopez. You got Dean Wilkinson. I still don't count those guys out as well. If they can get the right push at the right time, make the right moves, or, like you said, avoid the incident that could potentially be happening here on these late restarts. Honestly, if you're in the lead lap here, you've got a chance at this one.
And then my thought process is, what does Jack Walls do? You got the lead taken from you last restart. Are you going to pull a trick while you got some familiar faces behind you to try to make a run on this Dale Cup guy? Or what's the strategy going to be here as pace car pulls in? I see these trucks very well accelerating a little bit, kind of maybe getting for a fast start here. How's the 49 play this? We're about to find out. The drivers come through the tri-oval for the first attempt at a green-white checkered, and the green flag is out. Looks like a dead heat here at the line. Both drivers going to get started with Jack Walls all over the 49. Look for them to get a good run going through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, I say right now that inside line definitely looks to be a little bit closer to now that we're right on the 31. Like I said, of course, shorter distance while you're building speed inside lane. But now what does Steve Grosick do? Does he maybe play a little bit of defense? Maybe he tries to hop in front of that second line, but he stays committed to the inside. Here comes that third line. It looks like it's the 30. Yeah, 30. Oh, we got trouble in the back. That might bring, yeah, it does. Yellow's back to the field. But that could have been perfect timing for John Garber there before the yellow came out. So that's going to put us now into the second green-white checkered attempt. And the way it's looking, I think John Gabbard is going to come out with the lead after that restart, who I believe had restarted in, what, the 6th position, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. And, Gael, you may have to be the one that looks at this wreck by yourself. I noticed my graphics were cutting those drivers out, and I didn't even see anything. I just saw yellow come out. But if it's in the back of the pack like that with 2 laps to go, man, I wonder how the admins will view this a little later. I know they like these races stay green. This one's been pretty caution-filled for the most part, which has been fine. But I don't like when it gets to the end here and you got guys way on in the back with no chance just wrecking each other. So don't know what happened. We'll have to watch it on replay here with you, bud.
Yeah, as I taking a look at it now, I think it kicked off around Robert DuPont. So I'm not exactly sure where it overall. You see the 12 truck on the outside. You see the 420 in the inside. Say you're almost 3, if not 4 wide. But you see the 47, he goes down towards under the yellow line. So we'll switch over to Todd Siebels here. And then I think what's going to happen is you see a lot of damaged trucks here. I think these guys just trying to kind of get the best that they can out of these. I think it's just going to be a push gone wrong if we're watching Todd here. Gets into the back of the 07. Yeah, you can immediately see the 07 car just truck turns to the right. And unfortunately, you see collects the 12. Big hits for them. Collects Dave Thatcher. 12 truck almost flips over, but able to stay on 2 wheels. And then you see, unfortunately, I feel like Rob Malone's probably had the worst luck tonight of most of these other drivers. Catches another little piece of that. So, yeah, I think just unfortunately damaged trucks. I think closing rate's a little bit different than what they expected. And so, yeah, so that brings back out the yellow here. But like I said, the huge beneficiary of that one, John Gabbard, got the right position at the right time for that yellow to come out. And he's going to now control this restart after restarting that last one 6. So we're going to be now at attempt number 2 here.
Absolutely, and I see a lot more drivers getting on this apron. Saw it in the travel. Yep. I'm seeing it in turns 1 and 2. I'm telling you, if I'm Gabe Butler and them, gosh, there's 20 cars still on the lead lap, but I don't know. I don't know that I wouldn't have just pitted and bit the bullet here. I guess if they pit and they're at the back, they're just as well off as if they run out of fuel here, but I'm concerned now if they have enough even for this second green-white checkered. I don't know, Gael.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like I say, you don't know how much they put in. I mean, the only thing we can do is we can kind of base off their last pit stop time in the stall. And so, yeah, so like Steve Gabbard, or John Gabbard, Steve Krosek, they had about 6.8 second pit stops. Alberto Lopez, 6.7. I say Alberto actually pitted on lap number 63. But yeah, Everett Lane, 5.85 seconds. Gabe was about 7 seconds, 6.95. So, I mean, based on the pit stop time, that seems like a longer stop. But yeah, you just wonder, maybe just trying to make sure there's absolutely no question. We don't know if it's a kind of him being proactive or reactive. That's always the question. So, but again, though, these guys are going to be split up yet again here. Alberto Lopez, he's going to now be up into that 4th spot in this restart. Again, have to mention, missed the start of this race here. Had to start from the pits. He's up into 4th. So you just, of course, hoping to keep this clean on these. Hopefully, this next restart, not these next 2 restarts. But then, I mean, Dean Wilkinson now, he's a little bit closer to the front. Gabe Butler, Everett Lane, they're right there still as well. I think now the goal is probably going to have to be to find a way. How do you separate that 30 and the 49 from one another? Or also, maybe there's a little bit of gamesmanship. Maybe they can go just a slight fraction early, try to get lined up with one another to maybe put the win between the two of them. Or, like you said earlier, do they maybe try to control both lines? That way they have a chance. If it's going to be someone who wins, it's going to be one of the two of them.
Absolutely. And Gal, I'll tell you what, I can assure you of one thing and one thing only in this race, that this will be the last restart. That's about the only thing I can guarantee at this point, man. We've seen a heck of a show, but here lately we've seen a whole lot of wrecks as the field gets sorted out 2 by 2 and doubled up. Now, let's not forget some names up here that could make a move, that could make that third lane work just like that 30 did. These top two are guaranteed nothing. Look where Alberto Lopez is starting, 4th. I think that might be where I want to be. The 49 lost the lead to a 3-wide move. How do you know that the 84 is not going to sit here and push Alberto off to a win after missing the start?
And we know also how good of a pusher Everett is as well. And behind him, he's got the one at Gabe Butler. So, I mean, you've got two really strong drafters, really strong pushers behind you. So, yeah, if you're that 20 truck, you need to maybe look at the opportunities you have. And if you see the opening, you need to be the one to lead that third groove.
And how do you know the bottom line is going to hold up? We've seen the top line make the moves each and every time, and everybody now knows that. If I'm that 83, shoot, I see an opening, I'm going to move up in front of that 84 and behind the 20 there. I'm going to try to sneak up into that line and see if I can't make something work. I did all this lucky pit strategy to get up here, and I know I've got a fast truck. I can't just sit here and ride, right?
Yep,
Unless he thinks they're going to wreck again and he can drive through the wreckage on the bottom. It's a crapshoot from here, Gael. I don't even know how we call these last 2 laps. We just almost have to sit back and watch the magic.
Yeah, so I'll just get to enjoy the chaos, if you will. But you're right, though. I think you're exactly right. That's the thing, is there's always the risk versus reward. The risk in the middle outside lines. If there's a wreck, there's a good chance you'll get caught on it. The inside line just doesn't seem to have the speed, but you have a better chance of avoiding these wrecks as well when they happen, because usually they kind of all wash up to the top and then work their way down. So it's going to be interesting to see. But now we've got John Gabbard. He's going to lead the field on this restart. He's going to have his teammate to the outside on the 49 of Steve Krosek. Is there any strategy do they play here on this restart? They try to go maybe just a little early. But like I said, it's going to be, let's say we're going to have another green-white checkered attempt here. We'll see if they can get it done on this one.
Absolutely, as they bring it to a slow start. Here they go. Green flag is out. 30 gets a pretty good jump, and again, the bottom line's way more organized. We're going to have to see how this shakes out, but the 30 should get a car length lead here going into turn 1.
Yeah, it's a good start so far. You already see Everett Lane. I think he's already kind of shown his hand. He wants to get to that top side. You see him just peeking up a little bit out of 1 and 2. Right now, the up to 18, he stays locked on, though, to the 49 truck. But here comes Everett Lane. He's going to work that third groove, and he's got the 1 and the 4 to his rear bumper.
Got tons of good pushers in that top lane. We've got some very experienced guys in that top lane. Here they go, making it 3 by 3. Make sure you don't wreck out here, though. It's going to get tight. We see the 7 of Dale Wilby going to stay in the middle line and give some support, but this top line should really get some run. Look at him, 3 by 3 for the lead coming to the white flag as the 49 gets pushed a little loose.
Big wiggle there, yeah, but it looks like they're going to get to the white, and that's the big thing. So now from here on, they race back to the finish. So right now the front 3, you've got the 30, you've got the 49, you've got the 84.
Oh, there it is!
Oh, Jack Wall takes a late hit there as well. So now it looks like at the moment it's a 3-truck race here. But we'll see that 55 of Dean Wilkinson, he could get a big run here going in the back. Maybe has an opportunity to try to get a big push here.
We'll have to see if Dean Wilkinson can get that huge draft. We know the start-finish line's not in the tri-oval, but it's off in the short stretch going to turn 1. We see him with a big run here. We know these 3 are all going to race each other. You got to make the big move now. Here it is going up top. The 49 to block. 55 is going to go to the middle. They're making contact there. 4 wide for the lead. And oh my goodness, the 23 is going to get them.
Out of nowhere, Sebastian Marin finds a way to grab the win. Big moves, I say. It looks like John Gabbard's going to still grab second. Dean Wilkinson leading that pack is going to finish in third. But yeah, you can see right now that truck of Sebastian Mayer. He's just shaking that thing back and forth. Cannot believe how that finish ended up for him. So I think we got to go back and look to see exactly how this all happened one more time, because that was, everybody was going everywhere there. What a finish.
What a race. I was so skeptical of these trucks replacing the Thursday night series. I'm not going to lie to our fans out there. I was really depressed about it, but what a show these drivers put on. And guess what? The closing rates in these trucks so great. You didn't see that coming. They just sucked right up and just shot through those 3 liters and just took it from them.
Yeah, saying honestly, actually, Paul Sheldon and Sebastian Mayer, pretty heavy contact between the two of them, but Sebastian able to control that truck there, and then, but yeah, like I said, that big momentum we saw coming out of the backstretch after that incident. I'll say we'll try to see if we can take a look at that as well. So obviously, only got so much time to try to look at everything, but we'll try to pause it here at the line to show exactly how close it was. And you see right there. And he had Dean Wilkinson just maybe a fender ahead of that 31 truck of Gary Slapinski for that 3rd spot. And then you see Steve Krosick in that 5th spot on the outside as well, just a little bit back as well. But that's why, I mean, you never know. When you only get the 3 trucks, you start battling, it gets a little wild, and that's exactly what we saw. So now let's try to hunt down and see what happened in this incident here.
Yeah, and as you look that up, man, look at where some of these guys finished. Gabe Butler, 17th. Jack Walls, 18th. Dale Wilby, 19th. Like, man, that took out some really good guys that were right there in contention. Everett Lane, 14th. Man, took out a lot of good trucks right there, right at the end.
Yeah, so here we go. So coming into this is the final lap here. So try to see where it's all kicked off at. So we'll watch here. You see the 18 down in the middle. See a little bit of a bobble from him. Oh, it looks like that might be exactly where it hit. I think the 18 just washed up a little bit into the 24 truck and into the 1. So just close quarters there. And then you watch Jack Walls. Everything looks good for the moment. You see a little bit of contact. Looks like he's going to save it. But then unfortunately, it's a contact between the 55 and the 83. That's going to send Jack hard into the outside wall here as well. Unfortunately, the luck runs out for the 83, and then, yeah, like I said, just so many trucks caught up in this one. But just such a wild finish. And then, of course, then that dash to the checkered for those trucks that were able to get through unscathed. Yeah, I don't think we've seen one like that for a while.
That was definitely a great season opener for sure. It had everything. It had some big wrecks, and I called it. We were going to have a big one, and I think our big one was right there at the end. But we had strategy. We had fuel save going on. We had, how did Jack Walls even hold on to his position for the longest time? Like, we had it all, and a 4-wide battle for the win that just had the 23 prevailing. Just, could you have asked for much better?
I don't know if you can. I said we're going to pull up the results before we start grabbing our drivers here, so you can see that our race winner was it was the 3rd truck in that second group that was trying to catch these guys, but like I said, able to pull off the win. So you got Sebastian Marin winning by just under 300ths of a second over John Gabbard. Dean Wilkinson in 3rd by 8 1,000ths over Gary Slapinski. Steve Krosick in 5th. Then you got Paul Sheldon, Frank Gramuglia, Larry Boyle, Jason Middleton, Josh Stichterman, top 10 after being 2 laps down. Great recovery for him. Then you got Jackson Carr, Alberto Lopez, Eric Laurie, Everett Lane, Joe Delavecchia, and Noel Coers able to make it back to the finish. Unfortunately, you see Gabe Butler, Jack Walls, they're showing 1 down because they were not able to get their trucks back to the start-finish line. Not the results they were looking for. And then we'll continue on through the running order here. You've got Dale Willoughby there, Jay Hilliard, then Todd Siebels, James Hickson, Bob Fitzgerald, Rob Malone, Robert DuPont, David Thatcher, Mark Brown, Brian Grimm, Michael Spell, and then drivers definitely not the nights they're hoping for with Zachary Lima, Bud Steele, Michael Taylor, and Donald Stewart.
Absolutely. Just, man, fantastic racing, though, all night long. Gail, you'll probably have to invite me back to this a couple times this season because that was a blast getting to watch these guys just go at it. I did not think we would see that kind of racing, and it was 3 wide for the lead all night long. This is going to be one heck of a season.
Yeah, exactly right. So I'll say with that, we got to pull up some of our finishers. So we're going to start with our third place finisher. Say it was looking good for him until just out of the trial. Like I said, I don't think anybody expected to see that 23 kind of shoot the gap and work his way to the front. So I'll say we'll have to kind of see what was going through the mind of Dean Wilkinson on that final lap and on that restart, because there was a lot happening there. So let's go ahead and let's hunt down Dean here. All right, so we're gonna pull Dean on in here, our third place finisher. That truck's a little dirty. You're gonna have to run it through the through the paint booth, I think, or maybe through the car wash at least, or truck wash, I guess you'd say. But I
Yeah.
mean, so first off, Dean, I mean, I guess we gotta start with the finish. I mean, you get through the wreck, just barely. You know you're maybe about what, a second or so off those guys, but you see him fighting. I mean, what's going through your mind? I mean, do you feel like you got the chance to get those guys back and have a chance at the end, or I mean, how wild was that for you behind the wheel?
Yeah, I didn't know if I was going to catch him, but thank you to Paul. Paul shoved the heck out of me and got me up there. So kudos to him. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have made it up there.
So obviously, kind of a little bit of everything going on in the race we're actually watching right now. You kind of just sneaking by the incident there. Say, unfortunately, during the when it's a little bit of contact, of course, to make your way through, which is it's kind of the nature of the beast of these races. But I mean, the race itself, though, I mean, it was busy. I mean, I'd say we were trying to keep an eye on where everybody was, but I'd say with 33 trucks taking the grid tonight, it was hard to keep track of everybody. I know at one point we saw you kind of on cruise control. I mean, what was the mindset? 'Cause I also got to say, actually, congratulations on the highest climber for tonight, 28 positions gained. But I mean, just yeah, take us through the race strategy tonight and kind of what unfolded to get you to be in that position at the end.
Well, with this field and this with the trucks, it's always tricky. So I always like to stay at the back and do exactly what I did: work my way up, avoid the wrecks, and hopefully have a And with one quick repair, it's dicey. So you want to get to the end with that one quick repair. At least have a full truck when you get five to go.
Yeah, say with it, did you have to use your fast repair at all during the race, or did you have it in spare just in case towards the end of that one, or did you have to burn it there towards the end?
No, I finished with my quick repair.
So that's something Maxwell and I were talking about, who had one left, who didn't, and I mean you don't know in the end of these races if it's gonna come out into play or not. So I mean, just hats off to save that thing until you maybe absolutely had to use it. But I mean, just yeah, I say for us, I say that finish, I think that's a wild one there. Obviously, it was looking really good. Saw a little bit three wide, four wide there coming to the start finish line. How are you able to kind of keep an eye on who was where in relation to you to kind of where to position that truck?
Um, I was good with the first two green white checkers being I was in the middle, and then that last one down low, I knew it was going to be tough to get up there because I knew Gabe and Eric were going to hit the high line, and I was hoping to get up there with them and get past those lower cars, but ended up working out for me. I apologize to Jax. I think I got into him, but that was just again nature of the beast when the wreck happened there.
Yeah, so that was just we saw everybody kind of just doing what they could to try to find their way to kind of get through that wreck, and yeah, so I don't think there's any ill will or anything like that there. So I mean, just awesome job tonight, though, Dina. Say we've seen you do so well on the Sunday series with the Xfinity cars, so obviously a great start for tonight. Before we let you go, definitely wanted to give you the floor. So say I know we got a new partnership on board here as well, saying seat on the hood of your truck. So yeah, definitely want to give you the floor here.
Yeah, I've got the wrong paint scheme on there because I was hoping to have your logo up there, but I appreciate what you did tonight. So thank you for Green White Checker TV, Gail, and Paul for pushing me there, and TW Motorsports. It's a great bunch of guys there, and Area 51.
Yeah, so yeah, as TW Motorsports is what I was referring to. Like I said, kind of a new partnership with the trucks here with the next gen cars as well on Monday. So I say a lot of fun to see what you guys will have in store with that group with the Area 51. It's been obviously a great start here tonight. Like I said, I mean, as saying it's always good to have us. Say we've got, like I said, 4 nights of racing, 4 nights broadcasted, 2 of them here, 2 of them with Max Speed TV. So it's really good to have a little bit of everything. But yeah, just awesome job tonight, Dina. Say you worked your way through there to put yourself in contention. And say if maybe 1 or 2 breaks turn out a little bit better, say would have probably had you there in victory lane. So just yeah, hats off tonight, man.
Thank you, and congrats to Sebastian And who was second? I didn't even.
It was John Gabbard.
Oh, and John, yes. Congrats, John and Sebastian. And Steve, it's all good. Have a good night, guys.
You too, sir. All right, that is our third place finisher. Like I said, now we got to switch over to our second place finisher of John Gabbard. And Maxwell, everything was looking good for John. I say that the second to last restart, I mean, the big move from 6th to the lead there when that caution comes out. And then I say, I don't know if it's, you never know where you want to be, but I mean, Johnny, you're leading that final restart. You're it look like kind of committed to the inside line. I mean, what's going through your head when you've got teammates around you? You don't know kind of where to position your truck, like what's the best place to be. And I mean, how hectic was first the race, and then because I mean you had to work your way back up into that group, of course, but then to try to kind of navigate through that final restart.
Actually, you know, at the final restart there, just you know, I thought, well, Gary may push me, and I knew I could probably go up in front of Steve, and he would push me, but I thought I would just stay on the bottom because most of the time the bottom one wins. But they did get a run on the outside, Dean and those guys did, but. I'd like to got the win, but you know Sebastian snuck through the middle there and got it. You know, which congratulations to him.
Yeah, so that finish was definitely wild. I mean, we saw the three of you kind of just snuck through there, and then kind of the battle between you guys. But then, yeah, like you said, you had Paul Sheldon, you had Sebastian, you had Dean there, kind of all lined up with each other, and you could see just. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how much you guys maybe run these trucks versus the Xfinity cars. Maxwell and I were talking. It seems like these trucks definitely punch a bigger hole in the air, a lot bigger, kind of, I should say, quicker momentum almost. So I'd say, do you feel like that may have also been what kind of helped them pull up to you guys as quick as they did to have that shot coming out of 4?
Oh yes, it does punch a big hole in there, and Sebastian just came right through the middle. I mean, he had a great run, you know, through the middle there, even though Gary was pushing me. But yeah, it does. It creates a big hole. You know, it's a lot more than the Xfinity cars, but we do run the trucks quite a bit, so. You know, we've kind of got it down, and Sebastian especially does. You know, he does. But I was glad to come out of there with the second. A lot of guys got wrecked early. I still had my fast repair. I was glad I had that. But if you notice, I stayed toward the back in the beginning, trying to take it easy and save that. So just be there at the end, and which I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad we got a second place finish. And again, congratulations to Sebastian, and then. Just like to say thanks to all of my teammates, and we've got teammates in 2 different crews, so that we work with, and you know I appreciate all the help from those guys, and I like to thank Gary too. You know he did push me there at the end. That was good.
Yeah, I was say yeah, you beat me too. So I definitely wanted to give you the floor for thanks and shout outs. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like spot on the strategy. Like you say, keep that truck safe, save the fast repairs. Same thing for Dean Wilkinson, was able to keep his in store in case he needed it towards the end. But yeah, you guys did exactly what you guys had to do to keep you guys in contention. Like I said, unfortunately, would have never guessed to see that big of a run coming from that far back. But like I said, still a great result tonight for that first race of the season.
Yes. I would have never thought Sebastian, you know, Sebastian would have got through there that easy. But I really thought Steve would get the win. But oh well, you know, Sebastian snuck through there and got it. But you know, I've kind of watched Dean and learned a little bit from him. You know, he does stay back, and he's always there at the end.
Yeah, no, that was a great one. I'll say we were watching here. You can see the 4 wide coming. I say Daytona, you're looking pretty, but say Talladega, that dreaded start finish line, that little bit further is what going to burn you tonight. So, yeah, say maybe have a chat with Talladega, see if they can reposition that start finish line for you next time.
I know, yes. Maybe I just need. I should have moved up in front of Steve. Maybe I should have just moved up in front of him, and then we wouldn't have had that. I maybe would have got the win. You know.
Say based on tonight, it looks like you're gonna have plenty of opportunities to do so. So man, just awesome job tonight though, John. And say enjoy this one. Look forward to watching the rest of the season, sir.
Yes, thank you for doing the broadcast.
It's my pleasure. A lot of fun to be a part of it. So so look forward to the rest of it. But yeah, enjoy this one, and we will see you next week, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that is our second place finisher. John Gabbard was leading on the restart, just unfortunately didn't get the momentum he needed to. I mean, who knew that second group was going to come with the head of steam like they did? But in the end, though, it's going to be that 23 truck of Sebastian Marin. I do not know how you were able to. I mean, you're 6 coming out of 2. I mean, you've got some trucks in front working the draft, but I mean, just take us through. I mean, because you also had to save that truck. You had a little bit of contact with Paul there coming to the checkered. Say, look, I mean, obviously I'm not sure if it felt like that on a truck, but from our point of view, that thing popped up in the air a little bit with that contact. I mean, how on edge were you, basically getting into the trial to even have a chance to try to snatch that lead at the end to get the win here?
Oh man, it was wild. Coming off a 4, I saw Dean and Paul go up. I kind of saw an opportunity because I thought maybe they went up too early and scrubbed a bit of speed. And I saw a gap with John trying to block. I believe it was Gary on the bottom. I saw a hole and I went for it. And yeah, I did get hit in the door, just racing. It did get a little sideways. It was a bit sketchy, but I managed to keep it pointing forward. But I thought that was going to cost me momentum in the win, but luckily enough, it didn't. And barely nosed ahead of my good friend John.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and again, I mean, I'm not sure we're talking to John about mentioning the hole that the truck punches through the air versus the Xfinity cars. Say might be a different story with those cars, and I say, and also of course being Talladega versus Daytona, say a different story depending where that start finish line is. But I mean, just take us through the race. 'Cause, I mean, you had to work your way back up there. I believe, say it's hard to keep up with what was all going on. There's so much happening, but I think unfortunately you got caught up in one of those instances, had to work your way back up into the mix in the first place. We saw you up front controlling a lot of this race, obviously starting from pole, getting the win, anything but an easy one to get tonight. But I mean, just take us through the race, and of course, then having to work your way back up to the front to even keep yourself in contention there.
Yeah, the race started off really well, working out front with my teammates, and kind of had that small bobble being involved in that wreck. And after that, I was just riding at the back, to be honest, just playing strategy and just letting the race play out. And then on the last green flag pit stop, I was going to hit someone entering the pit, so I just decided to release the brakes and go back around. And I needed a yellow really bad, and it did. And the leader was actually right behind me because he was trying to stay out, maybe trying to make it to the end on fuel. So I caught a break there, and then I was just hoping for a big wreck at the end, which did happen. And I got lucky on one of I think it was the second to last yellow. They wrecked in front of me. I was stuck in the third lane, and a truck came up in front of me, and I hit them, but it didn't give me any damage. And that last restart started at the bottom again. Wasn't expecting to win. The hole just came out of nowhere, and just worked together with Dean and Paul to even give ourselves a chance. And we got there and took the W.
Yeah, so with these types of races, usually it's like a lot of things have to go right for you to be able to get that. And of course, I mean, it's gonna take it takes lots of skill, and of course, kind of putting yourself in the right place at the right time and all that. But yeah, like I said, it sounds like kind of going from a bad kind of things going wrong to making it as best as you can. And that's actually, it was something we did catch actually. Now that you mentioned during the broadcast, was the pit entry. Like I said, overshot just a little bit, but Max and I were commenting. I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow, knowing like, hey, I'm not going to make it, but to then kind of, like you said, kind of okay, take the loss there, and then stay out there and stay on track, and not, because I mean, a lot of guys, they'll stay on the brakes and they'll just try to force it in there and maybe make contact with the guys around them. So I mean, hats off to you for kind of having that situational awareness to be able to just say, all right, that sucks, but we're gonna try to make it happen another way. So yeah, so that was. It was pretty impressive to see that decision there, and I mean, like I said, it kind of worked out for you in the end when it was all said and done.
Yeah, it really did. I think that made or break my race. I feel like if I went in there, I was going to hit someone and then maybe get a black flag for an unsafe pit entry. So I was just going to take the blow and, again, hope for that yellow, and had a lot of luck tonight, and everything fell in the right place. But yeah, that was a great race.
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting one. I say Maxwell and I were definitely had plenty to talk about throughout the run here tonight. But yeah, just awesome job, Sebastian. Definitely want to let you enjoy this one. But before we let you go, so I know you've got a lot of teammates and everybody that help support you, and I'm sure lots of people watching as well. So definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that win tonight?
Absolutely. Gotta thank everybody from my team, Delia, Steve, and Zach. They're out there working really well. And my close friends, Jason, Jackson, and John. We all work pretty good together. We might not be on the same team, but hey, And yeah, that's about it. And thanks everybody who's watching. That was probably the best race I've had in a while.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun for us to be a part of as well. So yeah, so enjoy this one, Sebastian. Obviously, a great way to start off the season. Got 10 more to go, though, of course. So I'm sure looking big picture at some point. But yeah, for now, just enjoy this one, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week, sir.
Thank you. Absolutely.
All right, Maxwell. Those are our top 3 finishers, and yeah, just like kind of a tale of 3 races, really, if you will. I mean, especially for Sebastian, it's like up front on the pole, gets the win, but anything but. I say honestly, before he mentioned it, I completely forgot about the pit road miscue for him, and I mean, he's spot on there. If he doesn't abandon it and get back on track, take the hit then. If he hits the pits and he overshoots his entry, that's going to give him a most likely 40-second stop and hold. He's going to be over a lap down, the race over at that point. So I think that smart decision to stay out on track and just hope for something to go his way, and it does. I mean, winds up saving the race for him and able to pull off. Obviously, then had to work his way back up to the front to be able to pull off that win tonight.
Absolutely. Did a great job. Had great momentum there at the end to get the win. This race was all about attrition and who was there at the end. And even then, a lot of guys that hung out all race long kind of got took out. So a lot of things to look at before next week. I think it was a pretty great race. It had a little bit of everything, Gael. We had so much to talk about. We couldn't even fit it in. And we had an extra long broadcast tonight with 3 green-white checkers. So definitely fans got their money's worth tonight. And guess what? If you liked what you saw tonight, you're going to see it right back again next week. Because guess what? They're right back at Talladega again next week. So definitely looking forward to seeing more of this action. And like I said, Gael, you're going to have to invite me back for more of this. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, you know I'll always have a spot for you if it's open. So yeah, so like I said, yeah, a lot of fun. We'll be back here next week. And if you like super speedway racing as well, Sunday nights, that's the same thing over with the Xfinity cars. And of course, I know you got to race on Monday. They got the next gen on, over there on Monday, and then Tuesday with the Indy Series. So we've got 4 nights of racing, 4 nights broadcasted. 2 of them here with Green White Checker TV, 2 with Max Speed TV. So say definitely a lot of racing, a lot of broadcasting. So definitely appreciate everybody involved. I'll say obviously here tonight with TW Motorsports being involved with Area 51. But yeah, Maxwell, it's gonna be fun. Like I said, I kept you a little bit long, as I don't want to get you in trouble with your wife here. So everybody watching, thank you so much for being a part of this one. Looking forward to next week, and we will catch you all soon. Next race for Area 51 will be on Sunday for the Xfinity cars over at Super Speedways. So until then, have a wonderful evening and happy Friday Eve, everyone.